When night softly descends and the final echoes of the day slowly dissolve into quiet, the modern mind begins to unravel in its deepest chaos. Thoughts that have not yet found their names, worries that do not know where to rest, the questions about the meaning of life we keep avoiding, all of them gather into a weary current moving through the soul. But tonight, you no longer need to resist any of it. Let me guide you into a gentler, slower journey, a place where the strange mysteries of reality are told in a warm, low voice, like a quiet breeze drawing you a little closer to yourself. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And in the next 3 hours, you will step into a space where both dreaming and awakening coexist. A drifting passage that soothes you into sleep while opening deeper perspectives on the mind, memory, consciousness, and the truths you are never allowed to see. Now, loosen your shoulders, soften your breath, and let this night begin like a doorway opening into the stillness within you. Perhaps you have never truly noticed it, but throughout your entire life, you have been moving within an invisible current, a flow as light as mist, yet as persistent as stone, where every thought, every belief, every reaction you call me is not entirely yours. They were quietly installed into you, like tiny seeds falling into the garden of your consciousness long before you understood language, before you understood the world, before you understood yourself. Culture, family, society, those earliest fragments of memory, the offhand praises and criticisms, the rules you learned simply to feel safe, all of them programmed you, created a model of the world, and made you believe that this model was the only truth. But tonight, as you lie quietly in this gentle darkness, as your breath slows like small waves touching the shore, you can allow yourself to look a little deeper into that realization. Not to doubt yourself, but to see that the most unquestioned aspects of your identity are often borrowed pieces, transmitted to you through thousands of repetitions across the years. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "Every opinion is a sheltering place, but not every shelter is safe." And in the softness of night, those words feel quieter, almost tender, like a reminder that many truths you hold with both hands are simply temporary refuges, built so you could keep moving through a world too vast, too chaotic to face alone. And like any shelter, they can be changed. When you were a child, you had no way to guard yourself or choose for yourself. Every lesson from your parents, every glance from a teacher, every story on a television screen, every tiny gesture from the adults around you, you absorbed all of it as absolute truth. You didn't know you were being programmed. You only knew you wanted love, safety, and belonging. So you learned to believe what they believed, fear what they feared, love what they loved, hate what they hated. You became a constellation of invisible influences, carrying them inside you as though they were your own essence. But as you grew older, a subtle dissonance began to appear. The contradictions, the limits, the patterns that sometimes exhausted you, sometimes confused you, and sometimes made you wonder, which of these things ever truly belonged to me? Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And perhaps that is why you are listening to this slow, gentle narration tonight, to quietly revisit the programs that have been running inside you for too long, to recognize that fate is not a path someone else has written for you, but a structure of invisible influences you can observe, understand, and slowly decode. When you look at them with calm clarity, you begin to see not only the culture that shaped you, but also the doorway into the deeper part of your mind, the part where who you truly are begins to speak, even if only in whispers. Culture is not just tradition, not just customs. Culture is woven into the subtlest responses within you. The flutter of unease when someone doesn't reply right away. The guilt you feel when you rest. The fear of judgment every time you express yourself. None of these emotions appeared out of nowhere. They were installed through countless moments, countless glances, countless phrases you thought you had forgotten. They are like lines of code running beneath the operating system of your mind, quietly determining what you think, what you feel, how you act. You may wonder, so who am I if everything has been programmed? But that question is not an accusation. It is an invitation to step into a new space, the space of inner freedom. Because only when you know you are programmed can you learn to rewrite the program. Only when you see that a belief came from outside can you set it down without fear of losing yourself. And when you begin to watch your thoughts drift past like soft clouds in a vast sky, you understand that you are not the thoughts. You are the sky holding them. In this long night of philosophical wandering, you will begin to notice that freedom does not arise from controlling everything, but from tracing the roots of your inner patterns. You will see that the pressures you felt for years were simply cultural reflexes. You will see that the fears that lived inside you were not yours, but belonged to someone who once passed them to you through a word, a look, an expectation. You will see that the fixed personality you believed you had was nothing more than a conditioned response shaped in your earliest years. And you will let these pieces go, slowly, softly, like removing old garments that no longer fit. From a philosophical perspective, culture is a mirror, but not a mirror that reflects you. It reflects the world's expectations onto you. And when you stare into it for too long, you forget the shape of your own face. That is why tonight we begin by placing that mirror aside, so you can look at yourself with bare, quiet eyes. No judgment, no comparison, only observation, observing the flow of your mind exactly as it is. You may ask yourself, if everything in me is programmed, is there anything truly mine? And the gentle answer is yes. Because beneath all those layers, there remains something that cannot be overwritten. The capacity to observe, the capacity to awaken, the capacity to recognize the program itself. The moment you see it, you have already stepped beyond half of its influence. The other half is the long, patient journey of choosing again, choosing the beliefs you wish to keep, choosing the fears you wish to release, choosing the life you wish to live according to your own truth. And as your breath deepens just a little, you begin to realize that truth never forces you. Truth only invites you. Like this night, it does not demand understanding. It only asks for your quiet listening, softly, slowly, one moment at a time. From that listening, we move into the next chapter, one that opens a more subtle dimension of the mind, where you will discover why even the slightest stimulus can shape your thoughts without your awareness. Because once you understand cultural programming, the next question naturally arises. What makes these seeds grow inside me in the first place? And the answer unfolds in the next part, the priming effect, where you will see how even a passing image can alter the way you perceive the world. As the lingering haze of Part 1 cultural programming still settles softly over the edges of your awareness, as you begin to see that many of your beliefs were not born within you but planted over the years, you may feel a subtle shift inside, a quiet awakening, a first recognition that everything in your mind carries the imprint of its origins. And from that awakening, we step gently into Part 2. The priming effect, like a small lantern revealing that not only the grand beliefs of your life are programmed, but even your simplest choices, your briefest emotions, The moments you assume are random are shaped by invisible cues you never noticed at all. As you relax into the warm darkness of tonight, let me tell you about this silent power, a force neither threatening nor loud, yet strong enough to tilt your mind toward a direction you believe is your natural choice. Nietzsche once said in The Gay Science, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." And priming is exactly these invisible threads, lightly trembling below the surface of consciousness, shaping what you like, what you trust, what you choose, even as you believe your decisions are deliberate. Priming operates with a simplicity so astonishing that it almost feels unfair. When you're exposed repeatedly to an image, a sound, a face, a word, a feeling, even just for a fleeting moment, your brain begins to build familiarity, and familiarity creates safety. And as human beings, we instinctively move toward what feels safe. So you choose the familiar, even if you do not recognize it. If a melody plays often enough, you begin to like it. If a face appears repeatedly in media, you begin to trust it. If a symbol is shown again and again, it begins to feel right. You do not choose with logic, you choose with a sense of comfort. That is priming. And in this gentle night, if you look inward, you may notice just how many of your decisions have been shaped by it. The objects you buy, the people you trust, the feelings you carry for certain places. All of them appear natural, yet they are guided by small impressions your mind quietly absorbed long before the moment of choice. The most intriguing part is this. Priming requires no attention. It does not ask you to focus. It does not ask you to remember. A single glance at a word, a color, an image, even for a fraction of a second, is enough for your brain to process it and store it in your unconscious library. By the next encounter, you do not remember seeing it, but you feel a softness toward it. That is why in a new cafe you might say, "I don't know why, but I like this place." Or when meeting a stranger you instantly find warm, you think, "I'm not sure why I feel comfortable with them." And just as easily, some people unsettle you without reason, so all of this is priming. Nietzsche was right. The invisible threads are the ones that move us the most. Your mind is not a cold machine of rational thinking. It is a delicate organism responding to the slightest stimuli. When you see soft green again and again, you begin to feel calm. When rain sounds repeatedly accompany your days, you begin to feel soothed. When your eyes repeatedly meet words like pressure, success, failure, your body tightens without knowing why. And when your mind is repeatedly exposed to fear through news, media, conversations overheard, you become more anxious, not because you choose to, but because priming has whispered fear into the soil of your subconscious. Priming does not choose what grows. It only plants the seed. Which seed thrives depends entirely on the environment you live in. But priming does not only shape emotion, it shapes belief. When a message is repeated long enough, it becomes familiar. And when it feels familiar, it begins to feel true. Søren Kierkegaard wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." And perhaps, looking back someday, you will realize that many truths you held close were never truly chosen. They were planted by what you repeatedly saw, heard, touched, and felt. And tonight, in this soft stillness, you may gently ask yourself, how many of these beliefs are really mine? Consider something very small, a brand appearing over and over in advertisements. You say you don't care. You believe you are unaffected. And yet, standing before the shelf, your hand reaches for it. You think you made a logical choice. But it was priming. The mind does not calculate value in that moment. It reaches for what it knows. People often imagine they think first and choose later. But in countless moments, the choice comes first, and the rational mind arrives afterward only to justify it. Like a storyteller entering the stage after the scene is already set, explaining why everything makes sense. Priming also shapes human connection in ways subtle and profound. You respond not only to faces, voices, or smiles, but to colors someone wears or the scent they carry, the rhythm of their words. When someone carries familiar cues, you feel safe. This is why some people draw you in instantly. They echo signals your mind has known before, and why others repel you, not because they are unkind, but because they awaken something you once feared. Everything begins in the unconscious. If you are quiet enough right now, you may feel something tender. You are not wrong for being influenced. You are not weak for being led. This is simply the nature of being human. We are creatures of memory, of sensation, of fleeting impressions. These delicate traces make us who we are. Nietzsche once wrote in Human, all too human. There are no facts, only interpretations, and priming is one reason why the world within you is a world of interpretations, not absolute truths. But the beauty of understanding priming is not in realizing that you are influenced, but in realizing that you can choose differently. When you know the mind is easily shaped, you can choose what you allow to shape it. You can choose to surround yourself with what brings peace instead of tension. You can choose gentle words instead of harsh ones, healing images instead of exhausting ones, repeated habits that create a deeper, calmer version of yourself. And in the moment you begin to choose again, you step out of the unconscious orbit. You're no longer drifting. You're steering softly, but with direction. This is where the priming effect meets the deeper philosophical path of tonight's journey. Because once you understand how easily the mind is influenced, a question naturally arises. If the mind is this easily shaped, then where is free will? And that question carries us into the next part, quiet and haunting. The illusion of free will, where you will begin to see that even when you believe you are choosing freely, the choice may have been made long before, in a place you have never seen, but not yet. Let your breath slow a little more. Let your mind settle like nighttime water when the wind has gone still. The path ahead will be deeper, wider, and gentler than anything you have ever thought about yourself. Rest for a moment, and then we will step into the next chapter, slowly, softly, together. As the reflections from part 2, the priming effect continue to linger within you like a soft mist resting gently on the edge of consciousness, as you begin to understand how tiny, harmless-looking cues can quietly steer your emotions and your choices in ways you never noticed. Something deeper begins to open within the mind, a realization subtle yet piercing, gentle yet reaching into the innermost layer of your being. If something as small as an image, a color, a tone of voice can influence me, then where does my free will truly live? And from that question, we step into part 3, the illusion of free will, one of the most delicate and profound twilight regions of tonight's journey, where you will see that even the things you believe you chose may not have arisen from you, not to frighten you, but to help you understand the true mechanics of the mind, so that from that understanding, you may find a deeper freedom, the kind born from clarity rather than the illusion of control. You may be lying in the dark now, feeling your breath stretch out like a long, slow wave, and perhaps you believe you are choosing to keep listening. But neuroscience has shown us a strange truth. That decision may have occurred hundreds of milliseconds, even seconds before you became aware of it. In 1983, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet conducted an experiment that shook the foundations of psychology and philosophy. Participants were asked to press a button whenever they felt ready, and to note the moment they became aware of their intention. What Libet found was startling. The brain's electrical activity, the preparation for action, occurred before the participant became conscious of their decision. The brain decided first, and consciousness arrived later to take the credit and narrate the story. So what is happening within you? Why do you feel as though you choose when science tells us the choice was made before you arrived? Let us listen to a philosopher of the night, Arthur Schopenhauer, whose voice is sharp yet poetic in its depth. In Studies in Pessimism, he wrote, "A man can do what he wants, but he cannot will what he wants." At the heart of that sentence lies a strange truth. You can act on your desires, but you cannot choose your desires. Your preferences, inclinations, impulses, they are shaped by the unconscious, by old memories, by instinctive programming, by the 1,000 experiences that came before this moment. When you love a certain food, when you feel drawn to someone, when you become angry over a small comment, those are not choices. They are reactions of the unconscious. Consciousness comes later, resting a gentle hand on the shoulder of the unconscious and saying, "I wanted this." But the unconscious only smiles, for it knows the decision was made long before. Freud called that unconscious realm the hidden engine of human behavior, the quiet force behind every action, storing desires, fears, memories, and instincts you do not see but that shape every direction of your life. Like an underground river flowing beneath soft soil, the unconscious guides you, while consciousness stands on the surface, believing it is steering the boat. You may think this sounds frightening, but let me tell you something soft and true. The fact that you do not control everything within you is not a weakness. It is the natural condition of being human. Humans are creatures of the unconscious, of reflex, of inner history, of subtle habits you cannot even remember learning. And understanding that does not take away your freedom. It only takes away the illusion of freedom. Sometimes waking from illusion is the beginning of true freedom. Close your eyes for a moment and feel this present instant like a still lake. You might believe that closing your eyes is an act of free will. But let us wander farther into a philosophical landscape where this question has been whispered for centuries. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events, but look deeply and you'll see that even this power is not absolute. You can observe, you can adjust, but you are not the creator of every thought that arises. Thoughts appear, thoughts vanish. Like clouds drifting across the sky, you do not summon them, nor do you dismiss them. You are the sky that witnesses them. And if you are the sky and thoughts are the clouds, then do you truly control them? You can influence them, you can soften the way they move. But absolute control, the kind we like to believe we possess, is a comforting story. Consciousness tells itself so it can feel safe in a complex world. Nietzsche, in his Night-like Clarity, once said, "There is no such thing as free will." Then he added, sharp as a thin blade of light, "There is only strong will and weak will." He did not mean that freedom is impossible in every sense. He meant that what we call a decision is often the result of forces moving beneath the surface of awareness, shaped by layers of mind our consciousness cannot reach. Think of the last time you suddenly wanted to change your life, to leave, to stay, to begin something new. Do you believe that desire appeared in the exact moment you chose it? No. It was the outcome of hundreds of small impressions accumulated from countless experiences, memories, and feelings, a quiet current building beneath you. And only when it reached the surface did consciousness notice and declare, "I have decided." As you listen to this narration in the darkness, you may feel another soft truth rising. Free will does not disappear when we see that it is an illusion. It simply changes shape. Freedom is no longer the ability to control everything, but the ability to observe the movements within you with gentle clarity, without rushing to label them as my choice or my will. Jiddu Krishnamurti once said, "The ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence." And perhaps when you observe your impulses, desires, and emotions without declaring ownership over them, you will begin to see that beneath everything you do is a living flow, a natural operation, like the beating of your heart or the rhythm of your breath. No one commands them, yet they unfold perfectly on their own. Rest in that truth. Do not try to grip freedom too tightly. The tighter the grasp, the quicker it slips away. True freedom, like water, rests in the hands of those who know how to relax. And if you fear that understanding the illusion of free will makes life meaningless, let me offer something gentle. Knowing you do not control everything does not make you powerless. It makes you kinder to yourself. You stop blaming yourself for mistakes. You stop fighting your own emotions. You stop tensing under the weight of choices. Because you realize the body, the mind, the feelings all have reasons for moving as they do. And in that softness, something miraculous happens. You become freer than ever. Not free to dominate your inner world, but free from being dominated by it. As your breath slows further, as your eyelids grow heavier, as consciousness and unconsciousness begin to meet in a thin, tender space, you might feel this journey drawing you closer to the center of your being, where truth no longer frightens you, but becomes a gentle light guiding you deeper into the night. And from that quiet place, we prepare to drift into part 4, Consciousness as a Narrator, where you will see more clearly that if free will is an illusion, then consciousness, the controller you believe to be in charge, is in fact the storyteller that arrives afterward, interpreting everything the unconscious has already chosen. But let us go there softly, slowly, the way a deep sleep begins to approach you. As the echoes of part 3, the illusion of free will, continue to resonate within you like the distant whisper of a night wind brushing against the shores of your thoughts, as you begin to realize that what you once believed were your own decisions had already been shaped in the quiet depths of the unconscious, another truth begins to reveal itself, gentle yet profound. If choices are not made by consciousness, then what is the true role of consciousness, and why do we feel as though we are steering our lives when neuroscience suggests otherwise? In the soft darkness of this night, as your breath slows like the measured footsteps of time, I want to guide you to a place where philosophers, mystics, and scientists have stood silently for centuries, observing the human mind the way one might observe a miniature universe, where every emotion, every thought, every impulse unveils a secret about the one who experiences them. There, you will see that consciousness, the very thing you've always assumed to be the master of your actions, is in truth only the narrator, not the controller. A storyteller standing upon the stage of the mind, watching events that have already unfolded and weaving them into a coherent tale so you can believe, I chose this. David Hume once wrote in A Treatise of Human Nature, I never catch myself at any time without a perception, a confession that he never found a pure, independent self apart from the images, sensations, and impressions that came and went, like waves touching the shore without ever revealing the vast ocean beneath. If you pay attention, you will notice the same. Every thought arises without your permission. You do not summon it, and you cannot command it to disappear. Thoughts emerge, dissolve, shift, evolve, and consciousness steps in only at the end, carefully selecting a few and saying, "This is me." But is that really you? Or merely a fragment of the immense inner machinery moving beneath awareness? Daniel Kahneman, in Thinking, Fast and Slow, calls consciousness the storyteller of the mind, because its task is not to decide but to explain, to create a narrative that makes sense of what the unconscious has already chosen. When you reach for an object, when you feel drawn to someone, when sudden anger or sadness rises uninvited, the unconscious has already shaped that reaction. Consciousness arrives moments later, milliseconds, seconds, minutes, and begins to weave explanations. I did this because, I chose this due to, I feel this way since. Yet all these stories are interpretations, not true causes. You can see this most clearly in the moments when you lose control, when words slip out before you think, when tears fall without reason, when you react in ways that surprise even yourself. These moments are windows into the truth. Consciousness is late to the scene, trying to understand what has already transpired within the shadows of the unconscious. Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, writes, "You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them." And in a night like this, that sentence becomes a quiet key, unlocking the truth that you are not the stories consciousness tells. You are the quiet witness who listens, who observes, who feels those stories pass through. Consciousness is like a host of a show whose script has already been filmed. It does not write the scenes. It provides the commentary so you can make sense of them. And because consciousness needs coherence, it hates ambiguity, it resists emptiness, it refuses to accept that some actions have no clear reason. So it constructs meaning. It stitches events into a sequence. It creates the illusion of a narrative, allowing you to believe your life follows a logical path. But much of that logic is illusion. When you walk down a street and feel uneasy or calm in an instant, unconscious processing has already decided. Consciousness arrives with gentle explanations as if it knew all along. When you like or dislike someone at first sight, it is not a choice. It is instinct, memory, unconscious association. Consciousness simply steps forward and whispers, "I have a feeling about them." But what is that feeling if not the unconscious speaking through you? Free will slips from our hands, not because we lack it entirely, but because we have mistaken consciousness for the true decision maker. Consciousness is a lovely, gentle light shining on the river that already flows, not the hand that guides its direction. Consider this. Your heart beats without your command. Your breath comes and goes even while you sleep. Your hand withdraws from heat before your mind has time to think. If the body works this way, why should the mind be any different? Consciousness is the flashlight illuminating the surface of the water, revealing only a small part of the vast inner ocean beneath. That ocean is the unconscious, deep, continuous, and powerful beyond what your thinking mind can perceive. And when you understand this, you do not lose control. You simply release the illusion of control. In doing so, you find a more honest peace. You stop blaming yourself for thoughts you never meant to have. You stop fighting feelings that rise unexpectedly. You stop fearing reactions you cannot always predict, because you realize they are waves from deeper layers, not reflections of your worth. In that relaxation, you begin to sense who you truly are. You are the observer. You are the sky, not the passing clouds. Consciousness is the storyteller, but you are not the story. And as the night drifts in its soft silence, as your heartbeat begins to match the gentle rhythm of your thoughts, You will see that understanding the role of consciousness does not make you smaller. It makes you more spacious, as though you've stepped out of a dark room into the vastness of your inner world. From that stillness, we drift toward Part 5, Subjective Time, where you will discover that even the time you believe you are living in is not absolute truth, but a delicate painting the brain creates so you can exist within the endless flow of reality. And we will go there slowly, tenderly, like a long breath drawing you deeper into the quiet of yourself. As the final echoes of Part 4 drift slowly through your mind like the last shimmer of light resting upon a quiet surface of water. As you begin to understand that consciousness is not the commander, but merely the narrator arriving after the fact, you may now start to sense another gentle yet profound truth unfolding. If consciousness does not hold the reins, if it only observes, then the very time you experience through this consciousness, is it truly what you think it is? And from that delicate question, we enter Part 5, Subjective Time, where time no longer appears as a firm, linear stream flowing outside of you, but as a soft fabric woven by your own brain, where each moment, long or short, fast or slow, is crafted from within rather than dictated by the world outside. Let your breath slow a little further. Let your awareness open like a door slightly ajar to the night wind. For here, you will discover that the time you have been living in is not a physical quantity, but a sensation, an experience, a refined construction of memory, emotion, and attention. Perhaps you have felt that childhood lasted endlessly. One summer seemed to stretch across the entire horizon of your young life. A week was enough for dozens of discoveries, emotions, and adventures. But now, as an adult, you blink and a week disappears. You turn around and another month has passed, and suddenly an entire year has slipped away like a thin breath. Why is that? If time is constant, why is childhood infinite and adulthood heartbreakingly brief? William James wrote in The Principles of Psychology, "A day full of new experiences seems longer than a day full of familiar ones. And those words, when heard in this soft darkness, open a doorway into a startling truth. Time expands when you live in novelty, and it collapses when your life becomes repetitive. In childhood, everything is new. Each day is a landscape you've never walked upon. Every sound, taste, sensation is vivid enough to etch itself deeply into memory. And because the brain records so many impressions, looking back, you feel that time was long. Adulthood, however, is full of repetition, familiar tasks, familiar routes, familiar conversations. The brain stops recording details because it has no need to, and when memory fades, subjective time contracts. If your mind records only a handful of moments in a day, the day feels short. The truth is that time speeds up or slows down, not because the clock changes, but because you do. Because the brain changes the way it registers life. You do not live in real time, you live in the time created inside you. Albert Einstein once said, "Time is an illusion." Though he meant it in the context of physics, the phrase becomes tenderly philosophical when applied to psychology. The time you know is an illusion, not one that deceives you, but one that allows you to exist in a universe of overwhelming flow. Most of the time you feel does not exist in the present moment at all. It exists in the memory of the moment. You cannot truly perceive the length of time. You can only perceive the length of memory. And because memory shifts and reshapes, time shifts and reshapes with it. Imagine a day traveling alone in a foreign place. New scents, new sounds, new skies, new textures. That day feels endlessly long. But a week of your usual routine disappears like a sigh. In truth, both are exactly 24 hours, but one is full of memory, the other is not. The brain does not measure time, it measures experience. This leads to another gentle realization. You can stretch time not by living longer, but by living deeper, allowing your life to hold more vivid moments, more genuine encounters, more awake instants. When you inhabit each moment fully, time opens up, expanding from within. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. When you are truly attentive, when the mind finally stands still, time becomes thicker, richer, more spacious. You are no longer thrown between past and future. You live the present moment as though there is nowhere else you need to be. And yet, the present, the only thing that truly exists, is often what you experience the least. The mind runs ahead or behind, always remembering or anticipating, always filling the silence with story, analysis, prediction. Consciousness, the storyteller you met in the previous part, is constantly stitching together past and future to convince you that time is a straight line. But in truth, time exists only now. The past is memory. The future is imagination. You have never stepped outside the present, even though your mind has wandered to 1,000 places. When this truth settles into you, a softness arrives, as though someone places a gentle hand on your shoulder and whispers, "It's okay. There is no need to rush." And time slows, your heartbeat slows, your breath slows. Because when you stop running after time, time stops running away from you. This sensation is clearest in the moments just before you fall asleep, like now. When consciousness fades and the unconscious expands, and time dissolves into a soft, formless drift. This is why dreams can feel as though they stretch for hours, while taking place in minutes. Why sleep of 8 hours can pass like a single breath. Physical time is not the time you live. Subjective time is your true world. And sometimes, those who have faced near-death experiences say that a whole lifetime flashed before their eyes. It sounds mystical, yet it perfectly fits the logic of subjective time. When the brain opens its entire archive in a single instant, you no longer live by the clock. You live by the depth of experience. A moment can contain a lifetime. And now, as you listen to this slow night voice, perhaps you begin to feel time soften, not because the minutes stretch, but because your presence deepens, because you are awake to each breath, each sensation, each small vibration within. Understanding that time is subjective frees you from racing against it. You learn to slow down not by reducing life's speed, but by widening your awareness. You realize that what exhausts you is not time passing quickly, but your absence from your own life. And when you return to the present, time becomes a companion rather than a shadow chasing you. From this gentle clarity, we drift toward Part 6, the fluid self, where you will discover that not only time is crafted by the brain, but even the self, the person you believe you are, is soft, shifting, and far less solid than you once imagined. But let us step into that next realm slowly, warmly, like a long breath guiding you deeper into the quietest chambers of your inner world. As the echoes of Part 5 drift softly through your mind like a thin mist settling over the quiet shores of thought, as you realize that even time, the very thing that once felt solid, objective, undeniable, is merely a delicate creation of the brain, you may begin to wonder something even deeper. If time is not fixed, if it bends according to experience, memory, and attention, then what about the self, the I, the me, the true identity you've believed in for so long? Does it truly exist in the way you imagine? And from that gentle question, we enter Part 6, the fluid self, where the self is no longer a rigid entity or a static shape, but a flowing river, always shifting, always transforming with every breath of life. Now, as your breath moves like a soft stream through the night, let your mind open to a quiet but powerful truth. There is no singular, unchanging real me. You are not a frozen object. You are a process, a moving, living, unfolding stream. Think back to who you were at the age of 10. The tastes that no longer match yours, the beliefs you now find innocent, the fears you have since outgrown, the dreams you left behind like petals on an old path. Then think of yourself at 20. Deeper, sharper, more emotional, more restless. And you, today, are not the same as last year, last month, or even yesterday. You change every day, every hour, every minute, shaped by each experience, emotion, conversation, and fleeting thought. Heraclitus captured this truth in fragments. No man ever steps in the same river twice, and he added, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man. Heard in a silent night like this, the quote becomes a mirror for your soul. You never step into the same moment of yourself twice, because you're not the same person, and the moment is not the same moment. And if you are not who you were yesterday, or last week, or last year, then where is your true self? Does it exist at all? Or is the self merely a story consciousness tells, as we saw in Part 4, to give the illusion that your life has continuity, a single thread connecting countless versions of you across countless moments? Allow yourself to settle into a gentle thought. You are not a point. You are a curve. You are not an object. You are a transformation. You are like a flame, never holding the same shape, yet always recognizably a flame. You are like a cloud, never still, yet unmistakably itself. And like the flame or the cloud, you exist through change. If you stopped changing, you would no longer be alive. You cannot stop becoming. In The Will to Power, Nietzsche wrote, "There is no being behind the doing, acting, becoming. The doer is merely a fiction added to the deed." His meaning is clear. There is no separate self behind the action. There is only the action, only the becoming. The self is something we imagine so we can explain what is happening. And when you let that truth settle gently within you, you may feel a quiet liberation. You're not bound by a fixed personality, a permanent essence, or an unchanging true self. You can be anything you are becoming, because the self is memory. And memory, as we now understand, is always shifting, always reconstructing, always colored by emotion. When you remember your past, you're not seeing your true former self. You're seeing the version your present mind allows you to see. This may feel uncertain at first, but if you sit with it long enough, it becomes healing. You're not trapped by your past, because your past does not exist the way you think it does. You're not defined by old mistakes, because the self you are today is not the self who made them. And the most beautiful truth is this: you can become a new version of yourself at any moment. You need no permission, no perfect timing, no external validation, because the self is not a title, it is emotion. Virginia Woolf, Into the Lighthouse, wrote, "I am made and remade continually. Different people draw different words from me. That line feels like a deep breath in the stillness of night. You are made and remade continuously, and each person you meet awakens a different facet of you. This does not make you inauthentic. It makes you human, because we do not exist like statues carved in stone. We exist like rivers, reflecting different skies depending on where we flow. When you are with someone who makes you feel safe, you become a gentle version of yourself. In a stressful environment, you become a defensive version. In a place where you feel free, you become a brighter, wider, softer version. And all of those versions are you, none more real than the others. Each is simply a moment in the stream of your becoming. So what creates the illusion that we have a singular true self? The answer lies in consciousness, the storyteller introduced in part 4. Consciousness longs for continuity. It fears ambiguity. It needs a main character, a central figure. It gathers all your versions, joyful, sad, confident, vulnerable, brave, weary, peaceful, and places them in one box labeled me. But this is merely the illusion of language. In reality, you are the box, and all the contents inside, and everything that has left, and everything that has yet to come. You are an open process, and once you understand that the self is a river, you free yourself from the pressure to be consistent. You have the right to change. You have the right to contradict previous versions of yourself. You have the right to become someone new in each chapter of your life. In the soft darkness of tonight, you may feel this realization like a gentle breeze moving through your soul. You do not have to cling to old images of who you were. You do not have to force yourself into a shape just to please others. You do not have to fear being told that you have changed. Because changing is the truest thing you do. And as you embrace this, you begin to look at yourself with kinder eyes. You see that every mistake, every hurt, every old decision no longer defines you, because you are no longer the one who made them. You are a different current of water now. And from this serenity, we drift into part 7. You are a process, not a thing, where you will see even more clearly that not only is the self a flow, but your very existence is an ongoing creation, constantly forming, dissolving, and reshaping. But let us enter that next chapter, slowly, softly, like a tender breath guiding you deeper into the quiet that is opening gently within you. As the ideas from part 6 linger within you like the distant rhythm of waves brushing gently against the shore of your awareness, as you begin to understand that there is no fixed true version of yourself, only versions constantly shifting, constantly transforming from moment to moment, you may feel something even deeper beginning to unfold. If the self is only a temporary shape, then is the whole of your being truly the solid, unchanging entity you once believed it to be? Or are you movement itself? A process, a flow, an ever-unfolding current that never pauses, never repeats, never remains the same. And from that soft question, we enter part 7. You are a process, not a thing, where you begin to see yourself not as a still object, but as a river in motion, where every cell, emotion, thought, desire, and memory changes moment by moment, never returning in the same form twice. Let your breath stretch a little longer now, as light as wind touching the surface of a lake, and you will notice that even this very inhale is not the same as the one you took a moment ago. The breath is different. The feeling is different. The mood is different. You have already become a different you. Your body, which seems so solid, is in fact the most constantly changing part of your existence. Every second, millions of cells die and millions of new ones are born. Your blood flows differently than it did moments ago. Your heart beats with a new rhythm. Your brain, with its billions of connections, rewrites itself continuously. You are not who you were a minute ago, or an hour ago, or a year ago. You are becoming in every moment. Heraclitus, the philosopher of perpetual motion, spoke words that echo tonight as the fundamental truth of existence. Everything flows. Nothing stands still. Nothing remains unchanged. not even you. And in another of his fragments, no man ever steps in the same river twice, because both the river and the man have already changed. You, like the river, are always moving. You, like the river, cannot be confined to any fixed identity. You are not a thing, you are a process. Think of the many shifts in your life. Beliefs you once held with conviction now feel distant. Desires that once burned fiercely have softened or faded. Fears that once held you trembling now dissolve into quiet understanding. Wounds that once felt endless have become stories of healing. And truths you once thought you fully grasped now reveal themselves as only surface glimpses. These are not losses or inconsistencies. They are evidence of the continual becoming, the process you live each day without always noticing. Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, offered a sentence that makes the heart fall silent in contemplation. Man is something that shall be overcome. Humanity is not a finished product. It is a bridge, a transition, a process endlessly surpassing itself. You are not a completed creation. You are a draft in constant revision, written, erased, rewritten, refined, and never finished. When you see yourself as a process instead of an object, your heart becomes lighter. You stop blaming yourself for changing. You stop fearing inconsistency. You stop feeling inadequate for not being a fixed, perfected form. Because you understand that no fixed standard can ever apply to a living, breathing, learning, feeling, growing being. Your changes are not failures. They are proof that you are alive. And it is not only your body that changes. Your mind, too, is a constant unfolding. The thoughts you have right now are only glimmers on the surface of consciousness. They appear and vanish, and every thought shapes a new version of you. William James described the mind as a stream of consciousness in the Principles of Psychology, a flowing current without pause, without fixed identity, without a permanent center. Consciousness is not a lamp standing still. It is a shifting light, changing intensity, direction, and color, and you are that current. But if you are the flow, if you are always changing, what holds you together as you? This question has troubled countless philosophers. Yet if you listen quietly, you will sense the gentle truth. You are not any particular version of yourself. You are the whole stream of becoming. You are the tree that grows, not the single leaf. You are the music, not the single note. You are the life, not the single moment. And when you understand yourself as a process, you loosen the grip of identity. You no longer cling to the idea of who you should be. You no longer force yourself into shapes others have carved for you. You no longer burden yourself with finding a fixed true self. You simply allow yourself to be the unfolding, and in that unfolding, you are truest. The greatest healing lies here. If you are a process, then no mistake can truly destroy you. Anything you have endured, pain, loss, confusion, becomes water added to your river, making you wider, deeper, more compassionate. And if you have lost your way, you are not trapped, because rivers never stay stuck. They keep moving, curving, carving new paths through stone, through earth, through landscapes once unimaginable. And so do you. Perhaps you once thought, this is just who I am, but the truth is that you are always capable of transformation, reinvention, expansion. You are not confined. You are a living stream. Notice this moment, the moment you are listening to these words. Nothing about you is the same as 10 minutes ago. Your mind has shifted. Your emotions have softened or deepened. Your breath has changed. These continuous shifts are not errors. They are you. When you see yourself as a process, you stop rushing. You stop striving for an impossible final form. You allow yourself to grow at the natural rhythm of life. You know you will continue changing, and that is your greatest beauty. And as you lie here in the night, feeling your body soften as though it is dissolving gently into the quiet, you may sense that the idea "I am a process" is not merely philosophy. It is a doorway to deep inner freedom. You do not need to know exactly who you are. You need only feel yourself becoming. From this tender stillness, we drift into part 8. The reconstructed memory, where you will discover that even memory, the thing you believe to be the faithful record of your life, is neither fixed nor accurate, but rewritten, reshaped, renewed each time you recall it. But let us arrive there slowly, gently, like a long breath guiding you deeper into the softness of this night. As the resonances of part 7 soften within you like gentle waves withdrawing from a twilight shore, as you begin to see that you are not a fixed entity but a continuous becoming, always shifting, expanding, dissolving, and being reborn from moment to moment, another question naturally drifts toward you. If I am always changing, then are the things I remember about myself, about my life, about the people I have loved or lost, truly as accurate as I think they are? And it is at this meeting point between memory and becoming that we enter Part 8, the reconstructed memory, where you discover that memory is not a faithful recording of what once happened, but a song rewritten every time it is played, a painting recolored each time it is viewed, a story reshaped each time you tell it. Let your breath settle a little deeper now, and you will notice that even when you recall the moment just a few seconds ago, that memory is already altered. It has been tinted by your present emotion, touched by fresh thoughts, softened or sharpened by the mood you carry right now. This means that every time you remember, you're not pulling out an old record, you're creating the memory anew. You are reconstructing, not replaying. Neuroscientist Elizabeth Loftus, renowned for her work on false memories, once said, "Memory works like a Wikipedia page. You can go in and change it, but so can other people." And her words, when carried into the softness of night, feel like a quiet whisper. Memory is not as trustworthy as you believe. Not because you are weak or confused, but because memory itself is alive, fluid, shifting, mirroring your own ongoing transformation. If a human being is a process, then memory cannot be an object. Many believe that memory is a preserved snapshot of the past, frozen in a sealed box. But the brain is not a camera. It does not record life in full fidelity. Memory is encoded not by capturing everything, but by compressing, selecting, and interpreting. When you remember, your brain does not open an old film reel. It rebuilds the film from scattered fragments, and in the reconstruction, your current emotions, beliefs, fears, hopes, and even things you learned long after the event quietly seep in and alter the story. So memory is not history. Memory is the story of history that your present mind chooses to tell. Think of a childhood memory. Perhaps the first day of school, the first time you rode a bicycle, or an afternoon in the warm summer air. The image feels vivid, authentic, undeniable. Yet someone who was with you that day might describe it differently. The light, the words spoken, the atmosphere, the sequence of events. You cannot know whose version is correct, but perhaps both are true in their own way, each shaped by the emotions, perspectives, and inner worlds of the ones who remember. If you have ever recalled an old conversation and believed the other person said something hurtful, only to hear them later say, "I never said that," you may feel disoriented. But the truth might be this. You heard their words through the version of yourself that existed then, more sensitive, more fragile, more easily wounded. The memory was etched into you not as an objective moment, but as the emotional echo of that moment. And that emotion rewrote the dialogue. Even painful memories are not fixed. Something that once caused you deep suffering may now bring a soft smile because you have grown through it. Joyful memories also shift. What once felt radiant may now feel faint. The change is not because memory has weakened, but because you have changed. The you remembering is no longer the you who lived it. Nietzsche wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, "The past is always reborn in the present. The past is resurrected each time the present calls it forth, not in its original form, but in the form your current self allows it to take." You never remember an event as it was. You remember it as your present mind recreates it. And in that truth lies a hidden beauty. Memory never traps you. You are not imprisoned by what happened. You are always rewriting, always reinterpreting, always reshaping the past through the lens of who you are becoming. When you understand that memory is reconstructed, you begin to see your past with softer eyes. You stop blaming yourself for things you think you did wrong, because those memories may be inflated by old emotional storms. You stop feeling stuck in painful memories, because those memories are being rewritten right now, in your breath, through your awareness, through the new understanding you carry. The present version of you is the one holding the pen. And if memory can change, you no longer need to fear it. You no longer believe it will define you forever. Memory is just a layer of color on the canvas of your life, not the whole painting. Every poet and philosopher eventually finds their way to this realization. Marcel Proust, in Search of Lost Time, wrote, "Remembrance of things past is not necessarily the remembrance of things as they were, and his words, when heard in the quiet of night, feel like a gentle hand resting upon your shoulder, reminding you that memory is the meeting point between the event and the soul is always changing." Let this thought soothe you. The past is not rigid, it is soft. It bends and reshapes itself under the light of the present. The past does not hold you captive. It flows with you the way a river flows according to the shape of its banks. And from that understanding, you feel lighter. You're no longer pulled backward by memory. You are the one guiding it forward. You are rewriting your life with every breath. As this truth sinks deeper into your unconscious, we begin to drift gently toward Part 9, False Memories, where you will see that memory is not only edited, it can sometimes be entirely fabricated, creating experiences that never happened, yet feel vividly, undeniably real. But let us go there softly, slowly, like a night breeze guiding you deeper into the stillness of your own inner world. As the reflections from Part 8 ripple softly within you like faint waves spreading across the still surface of your inner lake. As you begin to understand that every act of remembering is also an act of rewriting, shaped gently by your present mood, your current understanding, and the person you have become. An even subtler and more mysterious truth begins to drift toward you. There are memories you are certain you lived through that, in reality, never happened at all. These are not memories altered or blurred by time. They are memories created by the mind, assembled from fragments, from stories told by others, from fear, from longing, from imagination, from things you once heard in passing but later stitched unconsciously into a complete narrative and placed into your life like a piece of unquestionable past. And this is the doorway into Part 9, False Memories, where you encounter one of the strangest paradoxes of the human mind. The brain can produce memories so vivid, detailed, convincing, and emotionally rich that you would swear they happened, even when they never existed outside your imagination. Let your breath slow just a touch more, because this truth asks for a soft and open mind. When you recall an old moment, perhaps a time you got lost, a time you cried, an afternoon you believe you spent with someone you love, the memory may feel so clear you think you could reach out and touch it. But neuroscience has shown us that clarity does not equal accuracy. In fact, the clearer the memory feels, the more likely it is to be wrong. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, who devoted her life to the study of false memories, once said, "The confidence you have in your memory is not a measure of its accuracy. What you call 100% certain is often only a feeling, not evidence." Think about dreams. Some dreams are so vivid you wake up believing they truly occurred. Sometimes you need a few minutes to separate dream from reality. The brain does not tag dreams with a not real label. It simply records the experience. And sometimes, these dream fragments slip quietly into your past. In its effort to keep the story of your life coherent, the brain will fill gaps with imagination, then forget it was imagination, allowing you to live with that memory as if it were true. Nietzsche once wrote, "Memory says, 'I did that.' Pride replies, 'I could not have done that.' Eventually, memory yields. Memory is not a sanctuary of truth. It is a place of negotiation between what you want to believe, what you can emotionally bear, and what your mind needs in order to stay balanced. If a memory hurts too much, the brain may blur it. If a memory makes you proud, the brain may beautify it. If a gap is too large, the brain may invent details to fill it. False memories are not created only by emotion. They are also created by the stories others tell. Perhaps you remember falling off a bicycle as a child because your mother repeated the story, but the one who fell was actually your sibling. Perhaps you remember a warm evening together with family, but in truth you only saw a photograph of it many times. Perhaps you remember a long, emotional conversation, but it lasted only minutes and the rest was your imagination filling the silence. You might be surprised to know that many childhood memories are false memories, not because you fabricated them, but because you were too young to form stable recollections. The mind took scattered fragments, overheard words, fleeting images, vague emotions, and wove them into a story you later believed was a lived moment. False memories also arise from desire. When you wish to believe you were once happier with someone, your mind may rewrite the past in softer tones. When you long to believe someone once loved you deeply, your mind may invent signs that were never there. When you want to imagine that you were once stronger, kinder, or more capable, memory responds by shaping a version of the past that comforts you. William James once wrote in the Principles of Psychology, "If we remembered everything, we should on most occasions be as ill off as if we remembered nothing." Memory is not a tool for preserving truth. It is a tool for helping you survive. And to help you survive, sometimes truth must bend. But please do not fear this. Do not think of false memories as something harmful. In reality, they reveal how deeply human you are, a being capable of self-healing. False memories can protect you from pain by blurring what would overwhelm you. They can guard you from truths you're not ready to face. They can offer you comfort in moments when you believed you were alone, but perhaps you weren't entirely. Yet false memories can also cause pain. You may remember harsh words that were never spoken. You may recall an expression of disappointment that never existed. You may believe you were abandoned when in truth you felt lost, and your mind turned that feeling into a story. But when you understand that memory can mislead you, a gentle relief arises. Not every sorrow within you is an actual event. Many sorrows are only stories, and stories can be rewritten. Let this truth flow into you like warm water. You do not need to torment yourself over painful memories that haunt you, because they may not be fully accurate. You do not need to mourn the fading of beautiful memories, because memory has always been part feeling, part imagination, and you no longer need to believe that the past defines you, for the past you carry is largely shaped by the shifting landscape of your inner world. When you see that memory can be created, you begin to view your life not as a rigid sequence of events, but as a shimmering river, fluid, reflective, ever-changing. You look at your past with softness, not judgment. You meet your present with lightness, not burden. You step into your future with openness, not fear, because you know that you, not the past, are the one holding the pen. And as your mind becomes softer and wider, like a night lake unfolding beneath the moon, we begin to flow into Part 10 color as a brain interface, where you will discover that even color, something you believe belongs to the external world, is actually an invention of the brain, created for the sake of survival. But let us drift there slowly, gently, like a long breath guiding you into the deepest calm of the night. As the contemplations from Part 9 drift quietly inside you like widening ripples on a still night lake, as you realize that not everything you remember is true, that the mind does not merely store the past, but also invent stories to fill in its empty spaces. You may begin to feel a soft trembling beneath your awareness. If memory, the very thing you trusted as evidence of the world, can be created, then what about what you see each day? What about the things you believe are obvious, unquestionable, undeniably real? Are they as solid as you think? And in the moment that gentle question touches you, we slide into Part 10 color as a brain interface, where one of the most delicate truths of perception unfolds. Color does not exist in the external world, it exists only in your mind. The world outside has no colors, only light. Color is the interface your brain designs so that you may understand, navigate, and survive in a reality far too complex to be perceived directly. Let your breath slow a little, not to unsettle you, but to open you. When you look at a green leaf, the green you see is not inside the leaf. The leaf carries no inherent color. It simply reflects light at certain wavelengths. When that light touches your retina, your brain, like a patient, enigmatic painter, converts those signals into what you experience as green. That sensation exists nowhere except in your mind. When you watch a sunset and see warm oranges, deep reds, and soft purples, the sky itself holds none of those hues. These colors are creations, interpretations of light, shaped entirely by your brain. And this leads to a tender truth. Color is not the universe's truth. Color is the brain's language. In Critique of Pure Reason, Immanuel Kant wrote, "The mind is not a passive receiver of reality. It actively shapes the way reality appears. The mind does not simply observe the world. It constructs the world you can see. You never see the world as it is. You see the world as your brain paints it. Think of a rainbow. Outside, there are only droplets of water refracting light. Yet you see a magnificent arc of 7 colors, radiant enough to stir your heart. Stand in a different place, and you will see a different rainbow. Another person standing beside you will see theirs, slightly shifted, slightly different. No two people ever see the same rainbow. A rainbow is not a physical object. It exists only in the meeting between light and your mind. Or think of red. Red may symbolize love, passion, danger, vitality. But in the physical universe, red does not exist. There are only electromagnetic waves oscillating at around 430-480 terahertz. Your brain chooses to call that frequency red. It chooses to make it feel warm, intense, alive. Another species might see it as a completely different color. Another might not see it at all. Red is not in the world. Red is in you. Which brings us to a profound realization. The world does not carry color. Your experience does. Color belongs to the soul, not to matter. Zen masters have known this for centuries. A saying from Zen goes, "The sky is not blue. The mind makes it so." The sky has no blue. The mind paints it. And when you hear this, do not imagine the world becoming less beautiful. In truth, it becomes more beautiful. Because the beauty you see is not the cold property of matter. It is the poem your mind writes upon light. And because we share similar nervous systems, humans tend to perceive the same colors. So we believe the colors exist out there. But what we truly share is the same kind of brain, the same kind of painter. Let your mind soften and consider this. People born blind who later regain sight do not see colors right away. They do not see red or blue or green. They see only a mist of brightness. Color must be learned, not received. Color is interpretation, not existence. And here lies the reflection that may touch you deeply. Your emotions, too, carry color. Sadness may feel gray. Joy may feel yellow. Peace may feel pale blue. But emotions do not have color. Your mind paints color onto emotion, just as it paints color onto the world. Color is not only the interface for the outer world, it is also the interface for your inner world. In The Doors of Perception, Aldous Huxley wrote, "We live together, we act on and react to one another. But always and in all circumstances we are by ourselves." Meaning, each person lives inside a universe shaped by their own mind. Even when two people stand before the same flower, they never truly see the same color. Because that color is created internally, uniquely, within each mind. When you understand this, you begin to soften toward yourself and toward others. You realize that others do not see the world exactly as you do. Not because they choose to be different, but because their minds draw a different interface. And when you recognize that the world you perceive is only a map, not the territory, you gently release rigid expectations, quiet judgments, and silent certainties. Because if color, the thing that seems most obvious and undeniable, is merely your brain's interpretation, then what in life can truly claim to be absolute? Do not worry. This does not strip the world of meaning. It allows meaning to breathe, to soften, to glow. You begin to see life as an abstract painting, each person standing at a different angle, each seeing a different shape, a different shade, a different truth. And in this diversity of inner worlds, existence reveals its quiet magic. Each person lives in a different universe, crafted by their mind so they can love and understand the world in their own way. And from this understanding, we drift gently toward Part 11 Controlled Hallucination, where you will discover that it is not only color, but your entire perception, everything you see, hear, feel, and believe. That is, in truth, a controlled hallucination crafted by the brain to help you survive in a universe far too vast and too intricate to perceive directly. But let us arrive there softly, slowly, like a long breath drawing you into the deepest peace of the night. As the reflections from Part 10 drift through you like lingering streaks of twilight still glowing after the sun has slipped beyond the horizon, as you begin to realize that even the most obvious pieces of your world, the red of a flower, the blue of the sky, the gold of an evening, are not properties of reality, but poems your brain paints upon light. You may feel a deeper question slowly opening in the quietest corner of your awareness. If color is created by the mind, then what about the whole world you see? Do you truly see the world as it is, or do you see a version of it, a rendering, a model? created by your brain so that you can survive in it. And from that tender question, we step gently into Part 11, Controlled Hallucination, where one of the strangest and most beautiful truths of the mind begins to reveal itself. Perception is not a mirror of reality, but a controlled hallucination the brain generates moment by moment. A hallucination constantly tuned and corrected by predictions, memories, and the inner models you carry within. Let your breath slow just a little further, not to unsettle you, but to make room. The truth here is not meant to confuse, but to open you. When you look at the world, you believe that light enters your eyes, images enter your brain, and you see. But the truth flows in the opposite direction. Your brain predicts what it expects to see, and sensory input exists mainly to correct those predictions. This means you do not see with your eyes. You see with your expectations. What you perceive is not the external world itself, but the brain's best guess of it. Neuroscientist Anil Seth calls this phenomenon controlled hallucination, writing, "We're all hallucinating all the time. When we agree about our hallucinations, we call it reality. A shared hallucination becomes the real world." Feel the weight of this softly. When you walk in the dark and notice a vague shape ahead, your brain instantly predicts it might be a person. Fear rises, tension builds, your breath tightens. But as you step closer, you discover only the silhouette of a tree. You sigh with relief and say, "Oh, I saw it wrong." But you did not see it wrong. Your brain simply fulfilled its role. It predicted first to protect you. You did not see the tree at all. You saw the prediction. Your senses merely corrected it afterward. The brain does not wait for reality. It races ahead of it. It must, or you would constantly be too slow for the world's dangers. And because it must outrun reality, it always produces a version of events before you even see them. The world you experience is not the world itself. It is a model, optimized and sculpted by your brain so that you may live. William James once described consciousness as a blooming, buzzing confusion, a chaotic swirl of sensations and signals that would overwhelm you if the brain did not reorganize, simplify, reinterpret, and stitch them into a coherent whole. Your mind is not a camera recording truth. It is a storyteller turning noise into meaning. It gives you not accuracy, but stability. Consider reading a sentence. Your eyes do not take in each letter. Your brain predicts the next word based on habit, context, and memory. When it predicts correctly, you read smoothly. When it predicts incorrectly, you stumble, and only then do you realize you were hallucinating a word that wasn't there. When you listen to someone speak in a noisy cafe, you do not truly hear every word. Your brain fills in the gaps using expectations. This is not imagination. It is how you survive auditory chaos. When you taste food, the flavor is not only from tongue and nose, it is shaped by your expectations. If someone tells you the meal is delicious, your brain anticipates pleasure and creates it. If you expect it to be bland, the brain dulls your sensation. This is not subjective bias. It is predictive perception. When you meet someone new, you do not see them as they are. You see them through your predictions, shaped by old experiences, beliefs, fears, hopes, and childhood imprints. You see through your unconscious, not your eyes. Nietzsche once wrote in The Gay Science, "There are no facts, only interpretations." In the context of perception, his words reveal an astonishing depth. You never meet reality directly. You meet your interpretation of it, your brain's ongoing hallucination. So what keeps you from falling into complete chaos? What keeps your hallucinations from drifting too far from the shared world? That is the controlled and controlled hallucination. Your brain continuously compares its predictions with incoming sensory data. If the mismatch is too large, it updates the model, correcting your hallucination. Every millisecond, your mind negotiates between expectation and evidence, an endless dance between the unconscious and the senses. And from this truth, a gentle, healing understanding arises. You are not being deceived by your perception. You are being protected. If your brain did not predict, you would lag behind life's dangers. Perception is an illusion, but it is a meaningful illusion. It is a survival interface. And here lies the deepest softness of all. If perception is a controlled hallucination, you no longer need to believe that your emotions are absolute truth. What you think someone meant may only be your prediction. What you fear might happen may only be your inner model, not the world. What you believe about yourself may simply be the brain's best guess, not your essence. You become gentler with life. You no longer cling to being right. You no longer feel pressured to be certain. You breathe and let the thoughts drift. You smile when you realize that even fear, anger, shame are not truths. They are hallucinations the brain is adjusting moment by moment. And as you look upon the world with softer eyes, everything becomes lighter, wider, more spacious. You're no longer trapped inside the rigid walls of your own perception. You're no longer imprisoned by the world you once thought was absolute. You understand that you can shift, update, expand, and transform the way you see everything, because everything you see is a model. When you change within, the world you experience changes with you. And from this quiet understanding, as you rest within the gentle stillness of this night, we drift into part 12. The blind spot illusion, where you will discover that even the empty gaps in your vision, areas where your eyes literally see nothing, are filled in by the brain's hallucination, allowing you to believe you see a complete world. But let us drift there softly, slowly, like a long breath carrying you deeper into the serene darkness of your own mind. As the gentle reflections of Part 11 on controlled hallucination continue to ripple softly through you like the last quiet waves on a still lake before night fully settles. As you begin to sense that the world you see is not the world itself, but a prediction-driven model the brain constructs for you, there emerges within you an even subtler, more delicate realization. Even the parts of your vision that do not exist, the blind, empty gaps where you literally receive no information, are quietly, gracefully filled in by the brain so seamlessly that you never notice anything missing. You believe you see a whole world, uninterrupted and complete. You feel as though the panorama before you is continuous, as though nothing is lost. And it is in this mysterious meeting point between what you see and what your brain adds that we drift into. Part 12. The blind spot illusion, where one of the clearest proofs of the mind's extraordinary creativity is revealed. Human perception is not a transparent window onto reality, but a woven tapestry of fragments, many of which are stitched in by the brain itself, so you may feel that you are seeing everything. Let your breath slow a little more, because this truth is best received with softness. Each of your eyes contains a blind spot, a region incapable of detecting light, where the optic nerve exits the retina. In your field of vision, there is always a hole, a gap, an absence of color, shape, and light. But you never see it. You never feel anything missing. And the reason is profoundly simple. Your brain fills the empty space with whatever it predicts should be there. This means that you think you are seeing the world, but part of what you see is drawn in by the mind. Your vision is not continuous. It is incomplete, and yet the brain makes sure you never notice the missing pieces. Let that sink deeply into you. Even in the places where you believe you are seeing directly, your brain may be offering you not reality, but prediction, a quiet patch sewn in so that the world appears whole. The philosopher Henry Bergson wrote in Matter and Memory, "The eye sees only what the mind is prepared to comprehend." And nowhere is this truer than in the blind spot. The eye cannot see the world fully, but the mind gives you the experience of fullness by filling the gap with its most reasonable hallucination. Imagine you sit in front of a plain white wall. Even in such simplicity, the blind spot remains. But instead of showing you a black hollow, the brain copies the surrounding white and pastes it over the gap, so you believe the wall has no breaks. The brain does not tolerate fragmentation. It refuses to let you see a disjointed world. It prefers wholeness over truth. And this is not only true of vision, it is true of emotion, memory, interpretation, belief. When something in your life is unclear, when someone's intention is unknown, when a story has missing pieces, when you cannot understand what happened, the brain fills in the blank. It cannot bear the tension of uncertainty. It hates gaps just as it hates the blind spot. So it assigns meaning, it invents narrative, it connects loose ends, it transforms what you do not know into what seems reasonable. And you call that story reality. Think of a time you misunderstood someone, when you did not know what they meant, what they wanted, or how they felt. Your mind filled the empty space. If you were anxious, it filled the gap with darker possibilities. If you trusted them, it filled the gap with kindness. The way you fill blind spots in communication reveals your inner landscape. You do not see the truth. You see the part your brain draws between the fragments. Or consider a memory missing certain details. Your mind will reconstruct the scene, adding pieces that make the story coherent. And then you believe that version, or consider belief itself. When information is missing, the brain will connect fragments into a complete worldview. Not because it wants to deceive you, but because wholeness keeps you safe, grounded, stable. Nietzsche once wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, "Every philosophy is the autobiography of the philosopher." Not only philosophy, perception itself is an autobiography, a reflection of the self, a story of what the mind needs to fill its gaps. Many beliefs are held not because they are accurate, but because they close an inner wound, soothe an inner fur, or complete an unfinished picture. The mind fears ambiguity. It avoids the dark. It resists the hollow spaces. So it paints, it imagines, it interprets. It turns the unknown into something familiar enough. The blind spot in vision is the simplest proof that perception is not a map of the world, but a map of the self. Let this settle in you like a quiet breeze over deep water. You never see the world fully. You see only the parts your mind allows, the familiar, the predictable, the safe. But this understanding brings a strange kind of beauty. When you realize that perception always fills the void, you become gentler with yourself. You see that your mistakes are not failures, but the brain trying to protect you from uncertainty. You understand why you made assumptions, why you misunderstood, why you reacted the way you did, not because you were wrong, but because your mind was trying to complete an incomplete picture. And then you soften toward others. You recognize that they too have blind spots. They too fill the empty spaces with fear, memory, bias, longing, or pain. They do not see you as you are. They see you as their mind constructs you. And this understanding is the beginning of compassion, for yourself and for the people whose worlds are shaped by their own invisible gaps. And as the night deepens around you like a gentle veil, perhaps you can feel a tender truth rising quietly. The world is never complete in our eyes, yet the mind tirelessly works to make it appear whole. And when we understand that blind spots exist not only in vision but in thought, memory, and emotion, we begin to live more slowly, more softly, less certain, and therefore more peaceful. From this calm awareness, we drift forward into part 13, the myth of the inner voice, where you will discover that not everyone hears a voice in their mind, and that the inner narrator you take for granted may not be the essence of thought at all. But let us step toward it gently, softly, like a deep breath guiding you into the quieter chambers of the night. As the soft reflections from part 12 on the blind spot continue to drift through you like a thin mist settling over the quietest chambers of awareness, as you begin to sense that even the empty spaces in your vision are gently filled in by the mind, so that the world appears seamless and whole, a deeper question quietly touches the surface of your being. If my eyes have blind spots that I never notice, then what about the rest of my mind? If the brain hides certain gaps in perception, does it also hide gaps in thought? And is the inner voice, the whispering narrator you've always assumed to be the center of your thinking, truly something universal? Or is it just another illusion that feels more solid than it really is? From that tender moment of unknowing, we drift into part 13, the myth of the inner voice, where you'll discover something strange yet deeply liberating. Not everyone has a voice in their head, and inner speech is not the default condition of human thought. You may have spent your whole life believing that thinking equals talking to yourself, that thoughts arrive as sentences, that ideas are shaped like language. But that is only one style of cognition, one way of organizing the mind, a way that belongs to some minds but not all. There are human beings who do not think in words at all. They think in images, in sensations, in emotional tones, in abstract patterns, in spatial shifts, in the subtle pull of intuition. For them, thought is not a voice. It is a movement, a texture, a field, a felt sense. Let your breath become a little slower, like a night breeze brushing across the quiet surface of the soul. This truth is much softer than it seems. If you have an inner voice, that does not make you more normal. If you do not have one, that does not make you less whole. Both forms of mind are equally natural, equally intelligent, equally deep. Psychologist Russell Hurlburt, who devoted his career to studying inner speech, once said, "Some people talk to themselves internally all the time. Some almost never do." And he emphasized that the difference has nothing to do with intellect or emotional complexity. It is simply a difference in architecture of experience. If you do have an inner voice, perhaps it comments on everything, narrating, explaining, worrying, analyzing, rehearsing conversations, replaying memories. Sometimes it sounds wise, reflective, grounded, but often it sounds like echoes of old fears, like voices from childhood, like the judgments of others repeated so many times they became woven into your identity. Sometimes it is your voice. Sometimes it is the voice of old pain dressed up in your tone. Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "The voice of your ego often sounds like wisdom, but it is rarely your deepest truth." And if you listen closely, you'll notice how often that internal voice speaks from habit rather than clarity, from fear rather than insight, from conditioning rather than freedom. But if you are one of the many who do not have a voice in your mind, if your thoughts move through images, impressions, intuitive leaps, know that this is not a lack. It is simply a different mode of consciousness. Albert Einstein once said, "I rarely think in words at all. A thought comes, and I may try to express it in words afterward. His mind did not speak. It saw, it felt, it moved. And this reveals a general truth. Thought does not require language. Thought is experience, and experience takes many forms. Perhaps at this very moment, you can observe your own mind. Maybe words are flowing inside, softly interpreting what you hear. Or maybe you simply absorb meaning without language, as if the ideas arrive fully formed, like waves washing over you. Whichever way your mind works, both are equally valid. Both are doorways into your inner world. Imagine the mind as a house with many rooms. One room is for images, one for emotions, one for memory, one for intuition, and in some houses, but not all, there is a room where an inner voice echoes like a narrator on an inner stage. But no house is deficient for lacking that room. Each is built to support the life inside it. Even for those with strong inner speech, the voice is not always truly you. It may be scripted by your past, shaped by the words of parents, teachers, society. Sometimes the voice is simply a recording that your brain replays because it once helped you survive. When you realize this, something begins to shift. You start to separate the true self from the echo. You begin to see which thoughts arise from fear and which arise from clarity. You stop believing everything the voice says. You stop feeling obligated to obey it. You learn to let it speak without letting it lead. You can turn the volume down. You can let it pass like clouds across the sky. You hear the silence beneath it, the silence that is not absence, but presence. That silence is you. And if you are someone without inner speech, this understanding may feel like a gentle relief. Perhaps you've wondered why your mind does not talk the way others describe. Now you know. Your mind is simply different, not lesser. You think in color, in texture, in feeling. You understand in ways that cannot be reduced to words. Your mind is a landscape, not a narrator, a symphony, not a monologue. Let this truth wash through you like moonlight over calm water. There is no correct way to think. There is no single shape the inner world must take. Your mind is yours alone, utterly unique, utterly valid. And in knowing this, something in you loosens, something softens. You stop forcing yourself to fit the mold of other minds. You stop worrying whether you think the right way. You realize your consciousness is its own kind of miracle. William James once wrote in The Principles of Psychology, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. And one of the attitudes that changes everything is the way you relate to your own thoughts. When you see the inner voice, or the inner silence, for what it truly is, you begin to live with more gentleness toward yourself. You become less afraid of the noise in your head, less ashamed of the quiet, more grounded in the truth that you can witness the mind without being ruled by it. And as this understanding unfolds within you, like a soft ribbon unspooling in the night, you may begin to sense an unexpected freedom. You are not your inner voice. You are not bound to believe it. You are not obligated to follow it. You can simply watch it rise and fade. You can feel the space beneath it. You can rest in the awareness that holds every form of thought, every movement of the mind. The awareness beneath all stories, the presence beneath all sound. From this deep quiet, we drift toward part 14. The brain spokesperson, where you will see more clearly that the inner voice is not the author of your actions, but merely the spokesperson, the commentator, describing decisions the unconscious has already made. But let us move there slowly, gently, like a single long breath carrying you deeper into the softness of the night. As the gentle afterglow of Part 13 settles like a thin veil of mist over your inner landscape, as you begin to sense that the inner voice is not the essence of thought, but merely one way the mind organizes experience, a deeper realization softly stirs beneath your awareness. If the inner voice is not you, then what is it? Where does it come from, and why does it speak with such authority, as if it were the grand narrator of your entire existence? From this delicate question, rising like a quiet breeze brushing against the heart, we enter Part 14, the brain's spokesperson, where you will see that the inner voice is not the commander of your life, but the spokesperson of unconscious processes already set in motion. A storyteller who arrives after the fact, tasked with interpreting, justifying, and weaving your actions into a narrative that appears coherent, even though it controls none of them. Let your breath slow, like the calm pulse of night. This truth asks for softness, not tension. When you reach for a glass of water, that motion begins unconsciously, long before the thought "I want water" appears. And only afterward does the inner voice step forward and declare, "I was thirsty, so I took the glass." When sadness appears in you, the unconscious has already reacted to something, a fleeting memory, a subtle expression, an emotional echo drifting through the room. And then the inner voice arrives to construct meaning. It must be because I'm lonely, or I miss someone, or I'm tired. It is not reporting the truth. It is creating a truth from threads it did not weave. Daniel Kahneman called this phenomenon the interpreter. Neuroscientist Michael Gazzaniga, known for his studies on split-brain patients, called it the left hemisphere interpreter, a storytelling machine wired into the brain to ensure you always feel that your life is continuous, causal, and meaningful, even when your actions were initiated elsewhere and long before the voice appeared. Imagine your mind as a play that has already been performed. The inner voice is the narrator who walks onto the stage afterward, not to direct the story, but to make sure that you, the audience, believe you understand what is happening. It does not hold the power. It only holds the microphone. Nietzsche once wrote, "We are unknown to ourselves. We know us." A paradox that turns out to be profoundly accurate. We do not truly know ourselves, and the inner voice often convinces us that we do, by creating explanations for actions that arise from depths it cannot access. The unconscious mind is responsible for most of your actions, reactions, preferences, emotional shifts, and judgments. The inner voice sees only the surface, but instead of admitting, "I don't know," it invents reasons. That is why, after doing something impulsive, you hear it whisper, "I acted that way because," but the original impulse came from layers your awareness cannot reach. The mind cannot tolerate ceaselessness. The inner voice exists to provide causes. This does not only apply to major decisions. It applies to the smallest, most intimate shifts, like your immediate impression of someone you just met. Your unconscious evaluates them in milliseconds, based on thousands of subtle cues beneath conscious awareness. The inner voice arrives moments later and says, "I think this person is trustworthy," or "something about them feels off." But the decision was already formed, and the voice simply narrates it, like a press secretary explaining a policy they played no part in creating. And when you understand this, something inside you softens. You realize you do not have to believe everything the inner voice says. You do not have to treat it as truth. It is merely commentary, a gentle echo of deeper processes, a storyteller doing its best with incomplete information. Thomas Metzinger wrote in The Ego Tunnel, "You are not controlling the story, you are being told the story. You are not the author, you are the listener." And this does not diminish you, it frees you, because once you see the inner voice as a spokesperson rather than a master, you stop being trapped by its judgments, its anxieties, and its rehearsed lines of self-criticism. You begin to hear it not as a command, but as a breeze, passing, murmuring, and dissolving into space. You sense that beneath the voice lies something quieter, more luminous, more real, the deep silence where your true movements arise. You learn to distinguish between the narrator and the source, between the story and the pulse of being, between the surface and the wellspring. And when you lie in the darkness, listening to your own breath drifting like a slow tide, you may feel the truth of this with unmistakable clarity. Beneath every thought, every explanation, every whisper of the mind, there is a stillness untouched by language. A stillness that is you. A stillness that is the living presence breathing through your entire being. From this calm and spacious awareness, we drift toward Part 15, Split Brain Confabulation, where you will see that when the two hemispheres of the brain are separated, the inner voice invents explanations for actions it knows nothing about. The clearest proof that the storyteller is not the controller, but merely the interpreter. Let us move there slowly, gently, like a long breath guiding you deeper into the quiet warmth of your own unfolding night. As the gentle afterglow of Part 14 lingers in you like a warm breeze at the end of a quiet evening, as you realize that the inner voice you once believed to be you is merely the spokesperson of deeper, unconscious processes, you may begin to sense another doorway opening inside the very structure of your mind. If that voice is not the one in control, then what would happen if it were separated from the rest of the brain? Would you still experience yourself as a unified being? Or would you begin to see that the self you hold on to is simply the product of cooperation between the two hemispheres, and that when this cooperation is disrupted, consciousness begins to invent stories in order to preserve the illusion of continuity? And from that soft question, we move into Part 15, Split Brain Confabulation, where some of the strangest and most revealing neuroscientific experiments of the last century show a profound truth. When the two hemispheres can no longer communicate, each side of the brain generates its own actions, and consciousness, which resides primarily in one hemisphere, fabricates explanations for behaviors it had no access to and did not initiate. Let your breath soften like the slow rhythm of waves brushing the shoreline. For this story is both scientific and meditative. It reveals that consciousness is not the driver of your life, but merely the narrator of the journey. In the 1960s, neuroscientists Roger Sperry and Michael Gazzaniga studied patients whose corpus callosum, the bridge between the hemispheres, had been severed to treat severe epilepsy. After the surgery, both hemispheres functioned normally but could no longer exchange information, and this separation created phenomena so strange that even the scientists themselves were stunned. When an image was shown in the left visual field, it was processed by the right hemisphere, the one without language, and the patient's left hand, controlled by that hemisphere, could point to or select the correct object. But when asked why they did it, the patient eye, whose speech lived in the left hemisphere, had no idea. Yet instead of saying, "I don't know," the inner voice instantly invented a reason that sounded perfectly logical. Gazzaniga called this phenomenon confabulation, the brain creating a story to explain an action it did not control. In a famous experiment, a patient saw a picture of a chicken on the right side and a snowy scene on the left. The right hand chose a chicken head, the left hand chose a snow shovel. When asked why he picked the shovel, the patient, unaware of the snow image, calmly said, "Oh, that's for cleaning out the chicken coop." showing that consciousness did not know but always tried to make sense of the world, because it cannot tolerate the emptiness of not knowing. Nietzsche wrote in Human, All Too Human, "We are compelled to invent reasons because we cannot endure the chaos of the unexplainable," a sentence that becomes almost painfully accurate here. Consciousness cannot endure uncertainty. It must produce causes to feel in control. But the truth is softer and humbler. Consciousness knows very little, and when it does not know, it confabulates, not to deceive you, but to protect you from collapsing under the realization that most decisions in your life do not come from you, but from deeper layers of instinct, memory, prediction, and emotion. You feel this in daily life. Moments when you say something and wonder why you said it. Moments when you avoid someone without understanding why. Moments when you instantly like or dislike someone. Moments when your life shifts direction because of a feeling you cannot articulate. And then the inner voice arrives, ready to weave a story that sounds coherent, even if the true reason lies buried in unconscious patterns you will never fully access. The inner voice always arrives after the truth. It is not the guide, but the microphone. William James wrote, "The self is a stream, not a point, meaning that the self is a flowing process, not a central commander, and consciousness simply runs behind experience like a child chasing a kite and shouting, 'I made it fly,' even though it is the wind that lifts it into the sky. This does not rob you of freedom. It gives you clarity. It softens your grip on the illusion of control, and it frees you from believing every explanation the mind produces. You stop blaming yourself for sudden emotions. Stop assuming every thought is true. Stop believing every action is a conscious choice. You breathe slower. You become gentler. You live more as the observer than the captured." Nietzsche wrote, "He who looks into himself awakens, and when you see the real workings of the mind, not through the stories but through direct, quiet awareness, something in you opens, calm and luminous." And from that soft clarity, we drift toward Part 16, Hidden Motivations, where you will see that most of the reasons you believe are yours are merely stories consciousness tells after the unconscious has already chosen. As the reflections from Part 15 continue to drift through you like the final ember glowing on a candle nearly burned to its end, as you realize that consciousness is not the author of your actions, but merely the storyteller that arrives afterward, inventing reasons for decisions it never made, you may begin to sense a deeper doorway opening within you. If consciousness only interprets what the unconscious has already done, then how much of the reason you believe about your choices, your emotions, your desires, and your behavior is actually true? And how much of it is a comforting narrative woven so life appears logical, causal, and orderly? And from that gentle pause, we enter Part 16, Hidden Motivations, where you begin to see that the motives you think you understand are merely the surface layer of a far deeper water. A place where the unconscious moves like an underground current, shaping almost every reaction before you become aware of it. Let your breath soften, as if your body were settling into the night, so your mind can receive this truth without resistance. Human beings do not live by reasons. They live by drives, and most of those drives live below the surface. You think you chose your career because of passion, but perhaps it was the desire to be seen. You think you are angry because of someone's actions, but perhaps they touched an old wound. You think you avoid someone because they are wrong, but perhaps they resemble a version of yourself you are not ready to face. You think you fear failure, but perhaps you fear the loss of your self-image. You think you love someone for their traits, but perhaps you love the feeling of being understood. And the reasons you tell yourself, all the because, that consciousness repeats are often just late translations of the unconscious. Psychologist Jonathan Haidt wrote in The Righteous Mind, "The mind is divided, like a rider on an elephant, and the rider is conscious reasoning. The rider thinks he controls the elephant, but the elephant, the unconscious, decides where to go. The rider has only one true skill, inventing coherent explanations for a direction already chosen. This does not make us weak. It makes us human. It humbles us, reminding us that we do not know ourselves as well as we imagine, and that humility is the first step toward awakening." Think of the last time you were angry. You might say you were upset because someone disrespected you, but if you listen deeper, you may find that the anger came from something else, from feeling unseen, abandoned, powerless, or from a long-forgotten memory in which you were treated poorly. The unconscious reacts first. Consciousness rationalizes later. Or think of the last time you felt drawn to someone with surprising intensity. You might tell yourself you liked them because they were kind, ambitious, or calm, but if you trace the feeling back to its source, you may find that you liked them because they soothed a fear, awakened a longing, or filled a quiet gap inside your inner story. Consciousness prefers beautiful explanations, even when the unconscious is simply responding through biological instinct or layers of old emotional residue. Freud once said, "We are ruled by forces we barely understand." But this truth does not come to frighten you. It comes to soften you. For if most of your reasons are not the true reasons, then you no longer need to punish yourself for reacting in ways you cannot explain. You no longer need to judge your sudden emotions. You no longer need to feel ashamed of choices that seem irrational. You only need to listen. And when you listen deeply enough, something extraordinary happens. The unconscious stops appearing like an enemy and begins to reveal itself as the keeper of your most honest parts. The desires you buried, the fears you obscured, the longings you never named. But the unconscious cannot speak. It communicates through sensations, through impulses, through emotions. It is the underground river, while the inner voice is only the reflective surface of the lake. Feel this. When someone irritates you, it is not consciousness that decides the reaction. It is the unconscious recognizing something familiar. Perhaps an old injury, a forgotten vulnerability, a part of you you'd rather not acknowledge. The unconscious sees first. Consciousness explains later. In The Social Animal, Elliot Aronson wrote, "People don't know why they do what they do, but they never run out of reasons. Reason exists so consciousness can feel safe. The true motive lives deeper. And when you recognize this, a gentle healing begins to spread through you like the warmth of tea held between your palms in the night. You stop fearing yourself, stop thinking you are too complicated, too emotional, too inconsistent, too fragile, too unreasonable. You understand that many of your actions arise not from failure, but from layers you have not yet explored. You begin to sit closer to your own being. You learn to ask softly, where is this feeling really coming from? What is this fear trying to protect? What emptiness is this choice trying to fill? What need inside me is speaking through this behavior? You stop chasing the conscious story. You dive beneath it. And that is the moment inner maturity begins. Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But what many forget is that the true why is often not obvious. It must be uncovered through many layers of false explanations, comforting narratives and polished stories before you touch the real motive. The one that lives beneath words, beneath logic, beneath persona, the one that feels like a quiet pulse calling you back to yourself. And when you sit still, letting the night fold around you like a soft blanket, you begin to sense what you once missed. The true motive never lies. It does not shout. It does not persuade. It simply pulls you toward the direction your life longs to move. Consciousness, the storyteller, will assemble meaning afterward. But you do not need to believe every story it tells. You only need to listen to the current beneath it. And from that depth, as you drift gently through the tenderness of understanding yourself more honestly, we will move into part 17, the aging clock, where you will discover that even your sense of time is not objective, but shaped by the speed of the brain's processing, making childhood feel endless and adulthood pass like wind. But we will arrive there slowly, softly, like a long breath leading you into the next layer of the night. As the quiet residue of part 16 continues drifting through you like the final echo of a dream dissolving at the edge of waking, as you begin to understand that the reasons you think you know about yourself are often just stories consciousness invents after the fact, you may sense another doorway opening gently in the deeper chambers of the mind. If we do not truly understand our motivations in the present, what happens to the way we experience time as we grow older? Why does childhood feel endless while adulthood slips past like wind across an open field? And why, the older we become, does each year feel shorter, as if time were folding inward and retreating into shadow before we can grasp it? From these soft, lingering questions, we enter part 17, the aging clock, where you discover that your perception of time is never fixed but shifts with age, and that time moves quickly or slowly, not according to the hands of a clock, but according to the speed of your brain's processing. Shrinking as you grow older, not because life hastens, but because the mind records less of it. So let your breath slow like night falling over a quiet field, so that this truth can settle without stirring resistance. The time you experience is not physical time, but psychological time, the time of consciousness, the time shaped and sculpted by the brain. William James once wrote, "A day seems long when we are young, but it seems short when we are old." And modern research echoes his observation. In childhood, the brain is flooded with novelty. Everything is new. Every sound, every face, every season, every sensation. Because the mind must process so much unfamiliar information, each moment expands. Experience becomes dense, thick, richly detailed. Summer stretches like an endless horizon. A single afternoon feels like a story with many chapters, and each day contains a universe of untamed possibilities. But as you grow older, the mind becomes accustomed to the world. Novelty fades. Prediction strengthens. The brain processes information more slowly, but also more efficiently, because most of what it perceives fits into familiar patterns. As a result, fewer memories are formed. Experiences collapse into a kind of gentle sameness. Days begin to resemble one another, weeks pass without distinct landmarks, months blur, and the brain, having little new to encode, compresses them into brief impressions, creating the illusion that time itself has accelerated. Life does not speed up. Memory thins out. Childhood feels long because you remember so much. Adulthood feels short because the mind records only what breaks the pattern. Think back to a childhood vacation. You remember the smell of the sea, the way the sand clung to your skin, the color of the light, the shape of your laughter. Now think of your most recent trip. Does it feel faster, even though it lasted the same number of days? Not because joy has diminished, but because novelty has. The brain no longer sees each hour as a discovery. At 30, a morning is like many other mornings. At 7, a morning is a world. Sartre once wrote in Being and Nothingness, "There is only one day left, always starting over." It is given to us at dawn and taken away from us at dusk. He captures a paradox at the heart of time. Psychological time is not a straight line, but a cycle of perception, a cycle that changes with age. As we grow older, each day feels thinner, lighter, faster, as if the brain no longer needs to examine life in high resolution. But the truth is even gentler. Time does not speed up because the brain slows down, but because the brain predicts more and perceives less. You have heard the phrase, time flies when you're having fun. But in reality, time flies most when you are familiar. Familiarity is the great thief of time. The more routine your life becomes, the more your days echo one another, the more your inner clock compresses them. Yet within this truth lies a quiet comfort. You are not aging as fast as you fear. It is only memory aging. The present moment, this breath, this awareness, is just as full, just as vivid, just as alive as when you were a child. It is only that you no longer record it with the wide-eyed wonder you once had. This is not meant to sadden you. It is meant to awaken you, because psychological time can be stretched. And the key rests in two things: novelty and presence. When you encounter something new, the brain must open itself again, must learn, must observe, must gather details, and time expands. When you slow down, breathe deeply, and truly attend to what is before you, the mind refrains from compressing the experience, and time becomes full again. Milan Kundera writes, "There is a secret bond between slowness and memory, between speed and forgetting. When you live slowly, you remember. When you rush, you forget. When you live with depth, time widens. When you skim across life, time disappears." And this is the healing that Part 17 carries in the quiet of this night. You can lengthen time simply by inhabiting it. You can make your days feel larger by opening yourself to them. You can make your life richer by noticing even the smallest newness. A different fragrance, a new path, a shift in the sky's color, a mindful breath. Time is not your enemy. It is a mirror that reflects how fully you are living. And if you have ever feared that life is slipping too quickly through your fingers, let this truth rest upon your heart like moonlight over a still lake. Time is not rushing. Only awareness is, and you can invite awareness back by living gently, slowly, and deeply. And from this soft understanding, as you drift into the quiet expansion of your own inner night, we move toward Part 18, Perceptual Limitation, where you will discover that even when you observe closely, you still see only a tiny fraction of reality. For the brain reveals only what helps you survive. But we will arrive there slowly, lightly, like a ripple widening across the dark water. As the gentle afterglow of Part 17 still lingers within you like the final light resting on the surface of a quiet lake at dusk, as you begin to understand that your sense of time expanding or contracting belongs not to the clock, but to the brain. That childhood feels infinite because the mind is wide open, while adulthood feels swift because the mind records only what it considers new. You may feel another inner door slowly opening. If even time is just a slice of reality the brain chooses to encode, then what about the world your eyes see, your ears hear, your skin touches? How much of it is truly real, and how much is simply the limit of the biological instrument you inhabit? From this tender stillness, we drift into Part 18, Perceptual Limitation, where you will discover one of the most humbling and beautiful truths of being human. You perceive only a tiny fraction of reality, the fraction your brain believes is necessary for survival. The rest of the universe remains invisible, inaudible, untouchable, not because it does not exist, but because your body was never designed to perceive it. And this very limitation shapes the world you call everything, even though it is only a thin sliver of an unfathomably vast cosmos. Let your breath soften, slow, and let your mind open to this truth like a quiet blossom unfolding in the night. Your eyes perceive only a razor-thin band of the electromagnetic spectrum. You see light between roughly 400 and 700 nanometers, a slit as narrow as a crack in a door of a house full of countless rooms you will never enter. Beyond that crack lie infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, radio waves, wavelengths saturating the space around you, passing through you in this very moment, yet remaining utterly unseen. Richard Feynman once said, "Nature is a much more subtle and profound system than our senses reveal, and we are merely creatures gazing through a keyhole." But it is not only vision that is constrained. Your ears register only a tiny band of audible sound, frequencies between roughly 20 and 20,000 hertz. Everything lower you call too deep. Everything higher you call too high. Yet these sounds exist, filling the world like hidden rivers of vibration. Elephants hear distant thunder miles away. Bats perceive the ultrasonic world that surrounds them. Whales speak across entire oceans in frequencies that, to you, are absolute silence. You live inside a filter, an acoustic cocoon designed not for understanding the universe, but for keeping you alive. And touch is also limited. Your skin senses only a small range of pressure, temperature, vibration. It does not feel the infrared waves passing through your body now, nor the solar wind brushing the earth, nor the immense speed at which the planet travels through space, tens of thousands of kilometers every second, while your brain constructs the illusion that you are perfectly still. Nietzsche once said, "We have art in order not to perish from the truth." And perhaps this is so because reality, in its fullness, would overwhelm the human mind. The brain must narrow the world, simplify it, soften it, shape it into a form gentle enough to live inside. You do not inhabit the universe as it truly is. You inhabit the version your senses and brain allow you to perceive. A model, a map, never the territory. And if this truth makes you feel small, let a softer truth embrace you. Your limitation is not a flaw, it is a protection. You were not built to witness the whole universe. You were built to live. The brain filters out 99% of incoming information. Neuroscientist David Eagleman calls this your Umwelt, your subjective world. The world your species perceives based on what it needs to survive. Bees see ultraviolet. Sharks sense electric fields. Snakes see heat. Migratory birds feel the Earth's magnetic field. And you see the world as a human must see it to endure. The world you perceive is not the world, it is your world. When you understand this, you begin to sense a quiet humility. You are not the center of the universe. You are someone living within a tailored version of it. Yet you also begin to feel a deep tenderness toward your existence. You do not need the whole truth to live a meaningful life. The slice given to you is enough to love, enough to experience wonder, enough to feel deeply. Let your mind rest in the understanding that this limitation does not weaken you, it humanizes you. It teaches you discernment. It teaches you longing. It teaches you imagination. It teaches you the beauty of choosing. If you saw everything, you would not know what to cherish, what to protect, what to call beautiful. It is precisely because your window is small that you treasure what falls within it. Even your awareness of yourself is filtered. You do not feel your hormones circulating. You do not hear your cells dividing. You do not see your immune system fighting for you. You do not watch your sadness forming or your fear rising. You see only the surface. Everything else unfolds in the quiet darkness beneath conscious awareness. Not a frightening darkness, but a nourishing, protective one. Schopenhauer once wrote, "The world is my representation, not as an arrogant declaration, but as a humble truth." Each person sees the world only through the lens of their nervous system, their history, their thresholds, their fragility. No one sees the real world, only their version of it. And when you understand this, compassion begins to bloom, both for yourself and others. You soften when someone cannot understand you, because you realize they live within a different umwelt. And you soften toward yourself when you cannot understand someone else. Truth does not live out there. It lives in how each of us perceives. And in the quiet of the night, when your mind becomes wide and still like a tranquil lake, you may feel something inside you gently expand. Even though you see only a fragment of reality, that fragment is enough. Enough to live, enough to feel, enough to create meaning. And it is precisely this limitation that makes your life possible. And from this tender recognition, we drift softly into Part 19, Identity Breakdown in the Mirror, where you will discover that even the self you believe you recognize in the mirror is only a model the brain constructs. A model that under certain conditions can dissolve entirely. But we will move toward that truth slowly, deeply, like a breath settling into the quietest part of the night. As the soft mist of Part 18 still drifts through your mind, as you begin to understand that what you see, hear, and feel is only a narrow slice of reality filtered by the brain so you may survive, that the true universe is far too vast for the human senses to grasp, you may feel a deeper question quietly unfurling in the dim and gentle space of your awareness. If even the external world is only a version shaped by sensory limits, then what about the self you think you know? The familiar you meet in the mirror each morning. Is it truly a solid entity? Or is it just another model, another delicate construction your brain generates so you can live inside a coherent story? And from that soft breath of questioning, we step into Part 19, Identity Breakdown in the Mirror, where you will discover that even the self, the thing you believe you understand most intimately, is not an obvious truth, but a neurological creation, a model that can unravel under certain conditions. There are strange, unsettling, yet profoundly illuminating moments in which a person looks into a mirror and does not recognize themselves. The mirror reflects their face, but the mind cannot bind that image to the inner sense of me. And in that moment, the mirror reflects more than a face. It reflects a truth. The self is not fixed. It is a construction, a living model shaped by sensations, memory, emotion, and the stories you tell yourself. Let your breath settle like a breeze slipping through a night window as we move deeper into this phenomenon with gentleness. In psychology, this experience is known as derealization or depersonalization, a temporary disconnection from the feeling of being oneself. A person might gaze into the glass and feel as though they are staring at a stranger. Another might watch their own hands move yet feel no sense of ownership. Another might hear their own voice echo outward, yet doubt that the voice belongs to them at all. And the strangest part is this. Neuroscience confirms that such moments are not errors, not malfunctions, but evidence that the self is built, not discovered. In The Ego Tunnel, Thomas Metzinger writes, "There is no such thing as a self. What we call the self is merely a model created by the brain. There is no independent I, only a model of I. And when that model glitches, through exhaustion, stress, insomnia, emotional overload, you may encounter the moment of looking in the mirror and finding an unfamiliar presence looking back. But this truth is not here to frighten you. It is here to soften you. You are not an object. You are a process, a flowing integration of unconscious and conscious layers, of memory and moment, of flesh and feeling. The self, the I you use to narrate your life, is only an interface the brain builds so you can navigate the world without being overwhelmed by the deeper reality that you are a dynamic system, not a fixed identity. Imagine this. Every day you look into a mirror and the brain instantly binds the reflection to your internal model, your history, your bodily sensations, the stories you've rehearsed about who you are. But if one part of that system stumbles, if the brain is tired, the model interrupted, you might feel a small gap, a slight dissonance, as though you are looking at someone who resembles you but is not quite you. That moment is like a hairline crack in the glass of the self, a brief opening through which the truth flickers. The I you cling to is not the foundation. It is the interface. In a famous experiment, researchers asked volunteers to stare at their reflection in a dimly lit room. Within minutes, nearly 80% reported their face shifting, warping, dissolving, morphing into unfamiliar shapes, even transforming into animal-like features. The mirror had not changed. The self-model had. The brain, deprived of stable data, began filling the gaps with imagery pulled from unconscious patterns. The experiment revealed something profound. You do not see yourself as you are. You see yourself as the brain chooses to render you. And even if you never experience overt ego dissolution, you still live within a subtle illusion about yourself every day. You believe you are this kind of person, yet that belief is only the story you've stitched together from reorganized memory. You think you are stable, yet each day you are slightly different. Your breath, your chemistry, your heartbeat, your silent longings. You think you remember who you were at 18, but that memory too is a model, filtered, sculpted, softened. You never see the real you. You see the representation of you. This is why moments of mirror breakdown can feel strangely healing. They reveal that you are not the fixed character you've tried to protect. You are something wider, a stream the mirror can only reflect in fragments. Nietzsche once wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, "Every profound spirit needs a mask. The mask is not something you wear. The mask is part of you, just as the self is the mask of consciousness." Ego dissolution is not a collapse. It is a rare glimpse beneath the mask, a moment of seeing life itself moving through you, larger than the story you tell. Let this thought soothe you. The self is not something you must grip tightly. It is something you may gently put down when you are tired. You're not the face in the mirror, not the memory, not the narrative, not the inner voice. You are the awareness flowing beneath it all, the shifting presence that expands and contracts with each breath, the quiet space where thoughts rise and dissolve, the observer who watches the story unfold. And if one night you look into the mirror and feel a flicker of strangeness, know that you are not broken. You are simply seeing a deeper truth. You are seeing the fragility of the self, and within that fragility lies quiet freedom. And from this silence, we drift to part 20, the hard problem of consciousness, where you will encounter the deepest mystery of all. Even if we understand the self as a brain-made model, why does the physical world give rise to subjective experience, to color, sorrow, joy, longing, warmth? The inner light that no scientific theory has fully touched. But we will move toward that mystery slowly, softly, like a breath descending into the deepest night. As the quiet resonance of part 19 still lingers within you like a thin veil of mist resting at the bottom of your awareness, as you begin to sense that the self, the I you thought was solid and familiar, is in truth only a model generated by the brain, a fluid construct that can falter, distort, or dissolve under the slightest shift in the system. You may feel another opening forming inside you, deeper, stiller, softer. If the self is only a neural simulation, then what is the part that feels that simulation? What is the one who notices? What is the presence that perceives the cracking of identity, the ebb and flow of thoughts, the shifting currents of memory and emotion? And from that question, quiet as a door opening at midnight, we enter Part 20. The hard problem of consciousness, home to one of the greatest mysteries humanity has ever faced. No one knows why physical processes in the brain produce subjective experience. The sting of pain when you're hurt, the warmth of afternoon sunlight, sadness like mist falling inside the chest, laughter rising from a place you cannot locate, or the vast stillness that spreads through you when you close your eyes. We can describe the firing of neurons. We can map electrical patterns. We can identify synapses, neurotransmitters, chemical cascades. But no one knows why all those physical motions create being. Let your breath slow, as though a gentle hand rests on your chest whispering, "There is no rush." Because to touch this mystery, or rather to allow it to touch you, you must soften, quiet, and let the waters of the mind settle. Philosopher David Chalmers named this puzzle the hard problem of consciousness, and he asked, how does the water of the brain turn into the wine of consciousness? A question that sounds poetic but is in fact the gravitational center of modern philosophy of mind. How does matter produce experience? Imagine the inside of your brain, billions of neurons firing electrical impulses. They flash on and off like distant lightning scattered across a night sky. There's no color there, no sorrow, no joy, no scent of flowers or notes of music. There is only electrochemical motion, and yet from this colorless activity emerges the soft blue of morning light, the ache of loneliness filling your breath, the peace of someone holding your hand, and the shimmering feeling of I am. How does matter become experience? How does electricity become emotion? How does the brain become the soul? No one knows. When you look at a flower, your eyes send signals to your cortex, but the beauty you feel is not in your retina, nor in the petals. It is inside experience. When you hear rain, vibrations strike your eardrum, but the quiet nostalgia that rises has no location scientists can point to. When you remember someone who has left your life, the burning in your chest is not carried by any neuron. So what is the thing that feels? How does the physical world generate the inner world? Let that question sink deeper into you, not asking for answers, only presence. Because sometimes the greatest opening comes not from solving a mystery, but from resting inside it. Philosopher Thomas Nagel once asked, "What is it like to be a bat?" His point was not about bat, but about this. Every living being has an interior, a subjective perspective science cannot measure. Science can describe a brain, but it cannot describe what it feels like to be you. It cannot quantify your shade of blue, your unique sadness, your private silence. And the strangest part is this. You live inside this mystery every day so intimately that you forget how unreachable it is. You know that you are hearing, understanding, existing. You know you are a subject, a witness, but science has never found the witness. It finds neurons, but not you. It finds activity, but not the experiencer. This truth is not here to trouble you. It is here to soothe you, because it means you are more than the body, more than the brain, more than the neural model of the self. You are experience, indivisible, immediate, whole. You cannot be reduced to parts. You cannot be dissected into pieces. You are the seamless field in which everything appears. Imagine sitting in darkness. No images, no sounds, no labels. And yet you still know you are here. That knowing has no neurological address. It cannot be pinpointed. It simply is. That is consciousness. And consciousness remains the unbroken riddle. The light science cannot catch. The moon that philosophers can describe but never touch. You cannot see consciousness by dissecting it, just as you cannot see your own eyes without a mirror. Consciousness only appears as itself. Writer Jorge Luis Borges said, "To think is to forget a difference, to generalize, to abstract." But consciousness is the most miraculous thing. It is miraculous not because it is complicated, but because it is so direct, so obvious, so unanalyzable. Let the quiet of this realization spread inside you like the long exhale at the end of a tiring day. You are living inside the same mystery that humbled Descartes, Kant, Husserl, Heidegger, and every mind that has ever asked what it means to be aware. No one knows why life knows it is alive. No one knows why matter becomes mind. And no matter how far science travels, this question remains, silent, shining, unmoving, like the moon resting on the surface of the night. And as you lie down, letting your eyes close, letting the night embrace you, you may sense something astonishing. Even if we do not know why consciousness exists, you still feel it completely. You are the mystery. You carry within you something the universe cannot explain. Perhaps that is the quiet beauty of being human. And from that silence, we drift into Part 21 panpsychism, where one daring hypothesis suggests that consciousness is not produced by the brain at all, but is a fundamental property of the universe, present in every particle from the smallest electron to the farthest star. But we'll go there slowly, softly, like a breath opening the next doorway in the long night's journey. As the warm resonance of Part 20 continues to drift through you like a soft wave brushing the shoreline of your awareness, as you sit with the staggering mystery of modern philosophy. That no one knows why the physical activity of the brain gives rise to subjective experience. That no one can explain how a lump of matter suddenly knows it is alive. You may feel a deeper space opening inside you, as though the night is unveiling a second layer of darkness beneath the first. And within that space, a quiet question begins to rise. If the brain cannot explain why consciousness appears, then perhaps we have been thinking about this the wrong way from the start. Perhaps consciousness is not a product of the brain. Perhaps it does not emerge at the end of a long evolutionary chain. Perhaps consciousness was here all along, not as an afterthought, but as a fundamental property of the universe itself. And from that subtle tremor within the mind, we enter Part 21 panpsychism, one of the boldest, oldest, and yet most contemporary hypotheses, that everything in the universe contains some tiny glimmer of consciousness, not full thoughts, not emotions, but infinitesimal sparks of inner presence. And when these sparks come together in complex arrangements, like in the human brain, they form the rich, expansive experience you call the self. Let your breath sink deeper, like a slow winged bird descending toward a still lake. Panpsychism does not come to unsettle you. It comes to soften your view of existence, to widen it, to offer you a gentler way to understand your place in the cosmos. According to this view, you are not a freak accident of nature, not a lone creature who somehow sprouted consciousness in a lifeless universe. You are continuity, an extension, a continuation of what the universe has always been. And the consciousness you carry is not random. It is a river formed from countless microcurrents of awareness, woven into the fabric of reality since the beginning of time. Imagine this as a single, slow breath. Every electron, every photon, every atom, every molecule possesses a faint interiority, a minuscule something it is like to exist. Not thought, not emotion, but a tiny inner pulse. When these particles join in complex patterns, like the neural networks of your brain, their micro-experiences combine, overlap, amplify, and deepen until they become the vast field of awareness you call I. Philosopher Galen Strawson once wrote, "Experience cannot arise out of non-experiential stuff. Experience cannot come from something entirely devoid of experience. It must rest on some foundation, and if that foundation is not neurons or electricity or chemistry alone, then it must lie in the universe itself." This idea is not new, it is ancient. Greek philosopher Thales said, "Everything is full of gods," a poetic way of describing that all things contain some breath of inner life. Spinoza, the 17th century thinker, believed mind and matter were two aspects of the same underlying reality, writing in Ethics. All things are animate in varying degrees. And in the 20th century, Alfred North Whitehead declared in Process and Reality, "There is no nature apart from experience. No existence is devoid of experience. Every entity possesses some dim inner point of view." Today, many neuroscientists and theoretical physicists return to this idea, not out of mysticism, but because science has found no better explanation for how consciousness could appear in the first place. Let your mind open like a small window welcoming in the night breeze. If panpsychism is true, then you are not alone in your awareness. Consciousness is not a rare flame flickering in an indifferent void. It is the background music of the cosmos, and you are simply hearing the most complex expression of its song. And this brings a gentle healing. You belong here far more deeply than you think. You're not a stray spark. You are the universe continuing itself. You are its unfolding, its expression, its reflection. Imagine this. If photons and electrons have tiny proto-feelings, not thoughts, but an inner side, then consciousness is not something the brain created. It is something the brain organized, something already present in the fundamental building blocks of your body. Awareness did not arrive late. It condensed. It crystallized. It gathered itself into the form you now inhabit, the way countless droplets gather to form the sea. Science has not proven this, but it has not disproven it either. And there is something profoundly tender in imagining a universe not stripped of soul, but shimmering with it, a universe where stones, trees, oceans, clouds, wind all hold a quiet spark within, faint as a sleeping ember, yet connected to the same flame that burns inside you. Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "Behind your thoughts and feelings, my brother, there stands a mighty commander, an unknown sage. If panpsychism is true, that unknown sage is not just inside you. It is inside the very structure of the cosmos. Your consciousness is not something you created. It is a river the universe poured into your vessel. You are where the cosmos becomes aware of itself, the place where matter looks back at matter, where existence witnesses existence. As Carl Sagan said, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Let this truth soothe you. If consciousness is the foundation of the universe, then every moment you live, fragile, fleeting, delicate, is part of something immeasurably larger. You're not merely a drop of water. You are the ocean taking the shape of a person for a while. And as this understanding touches you gently, like moonlight falling across the surface of a quiet lake. We drift into part 22 nativism, where an almost opposite view awaits. The idea that consciousness might not exist at all, that the self is an illusion, that your inner world is simply a self-simulation with no observer within. Two extremes, one claiming consciousness is everywhere, the other claiming consciousness is nowhere. And somewhere between them lies the deepest question of all. Who is it that feels this night unfolding inside you? But we will reach that place slowly, softly, like a breath guiding you further into the stillness of your own depths. As the soft afterglow of part 21 continues to ripple through you like small waves at the edge of awareness, as you move gently out of a worldview vast and tender as the night sky, where every atom, every proton, every particle shimmers with a faint spark of experience. You may begin to feel a subtle reversal inside your mind, like the universe opening one door of wonder, only to lead you immediately to another, darker, sharper, yet strangely hypnotic. If panpsychism whispers that consciousness is everywhere, what happens when a philosophical school dares to claim that consciousness does not exist at all? Not a mystery, not a foundation, not the fabric of reality, but an illusion, a byproduct of a self-modeling brain, a narrative the nervous system creates to make itself feel coherent, even though there is no self, no I, no inner witness, only cold, silent, physical processes. And from this breathtaking contradiction, we enter part 22 eliminativism, one of the most controversial theories in the philosophy of mind, laid before you in the quiet of night. Consciousness might be nothing but a story. Let your breath slow, soften, lengthen, as though you are walking across a thick carpet in an ancient temple where every idea strikes the air like a distant bell. Eliminativism is not a view most people accept easily. It touches the most intimate part of human existence, the feeling I am alive. Yet philosophers like Paul Churchland and Patricia Churchland argue that concepts such as consciousness, belief, emotion, desire are outdated folk psychology, the leftover vocabulary of an age before neuroscience. According to them, these ideas are as primitive and misguided as ancient astronomy, where the sun was once believed to revolve around Earth. Paul Churchland wrote, "The mind is not what it seems. Our inner life is badly misdescribed by our language." In other words, what you think your mind is only a story you tell about it. That story is wrong. And one day, a more advanced neuroscience will replace all these words with precise neural descriptions, leaving no place for consciousness as something real or separate. Feel this gently. You think you feel sad. Eliminativism says sadness does not exist as an inner entity. There's only biochemical modulation, neural activation, shifting patterns of response. You think you made a decision. Eliminativism says there is no decider, only computational processes. You think you have thoughts, but under this view, there is no thinker inside ye, only electrical activity cascading like weather across a sky of neurons. Consciousness is not the center. It is a side effect, a shadow. This may feel disorienting, but let your mind soften like wind over still water. Eliminativism does not come to erase you. It comes to ask, is the self you cling to actually real? Or just a story, like a moon reflected on the lake, beautiful in shape but hollow in substance? Recall the split brain studies of part 15. Consciousness invented reasons for actions it did not understand. If it doesn't understand the action, how can it be the actor? Recall part 14. The inner voice is not the driver, but the spokesperson. If it doesn't drive, How can it be the self? Recall part 19. Some people look in the mirror and cannot recognize their own face. If the self can dissolve from a small glitch, was it ever solid? And recall. Part 20. Science cannot explain how experience arises. If we don't know where experience comes from, is it truly impossible that it is only an illusion? Nativism brings you to that cliff edge, not where you stare into darkness, but into a vast open space where the very notion of a self becomes featherlight. If consciousness is an illusion, then fear is an illusion. Ego is an illusion. Self-judgment is an illusion. The burden of being this person dissolves. The pressure to define yourself evaporates. You no longer have to be anyone. You only have to unfold. Neuroscientist Michael Graziano writes in Consciousness and the Social Brain. Consciousness is a kind of information, a data summary. It is not the thing it describes. Consciousness is not your soul. It is your system's internal PowerPoint presentation. A summary, not a self. You are not the narrator. You are the storm of processes behind the narration. You are not the spotlight. You are the electricity moving unseen beneath everything. Consider this. When you sleep deeply, consciousness disappears completely. Yet you remain alive. Your heart beats. Your brain works. Memories form. Life continues without a self. For nativism, this is evidence. Consciousness is not essential. It is not the engine. It is the vapor above the engine, the warmth rising from machinery. But strangely, this does not make you smaller. It makes you lighter. If consciousness is only the display screen, you do not need to believe every thought. You do not need to obey every emotion. You do not need to identify with every fear. These are not you. They are outputs. You can watch them come and go without attaching your worth to them, without holding them as truth. And in the quiet of the night, as your body loosens and the breath deepens, something tender arises. If the self is an illusion, then who is hearing these words? How can an illusion hear, feel, understand? The question pulls you back into the mystery of part 20. And that is the beauty of this journey. Every answer opens a larger question, and the deeper you go, the more you stand at the threshold of something no philosophy can fully capture. And from this place of stillness, where consciousness becomes a soft shadow against the floor of the mind, we drift into part 23. The limits of science, where you will see that even science, humanity's most powerful tool for understanding reality, has boundaries it cannot cross, and some questions about consciousness may remain forever unanswered simply because science does not have access to first-person experience. But we will move there slowly, gently, like a breath guiding you deeper into the quiet of your own unfolding night, as the faint echoes of part 22 still drift within you like the last layer of mist settling over the surface of a midnight lake. And as you emerge from one of the most radical views in the philosophy of mind, the possibility that consciousness does not exist, that what you call I, feeling, experience, might be nothing more than an illusion generated by a self-modeling nervous system, you may begin to sense another kind of wind moving through you, a quiet current like the universe exhaling in the dark. If consciousness is only a model, then why does it feel so real? And if it is merely a shadow, why does the shadow recognize itself as a shadow? And if science can explain every physical process, why has it never touched the innermost subjective core, the part of you that knows it is alive? From that delicate intersection between doubt and longing, we step into part 23. The limits of science, where a soft yet razor-sharp truth reveals itself. Science, no matter how powerful, can only reach the objective, while consciousness, the very thing you are using to hear these words, is purely subjective, and so there may forever be a distance science cannot cross. Let your breath slow down, as if you're walking through a long hallway washed in dim blue evening light, because to understand the limits of science, you don't need knowledge, you need a softened awareness, willing to bow before what lies outside all frameworks. Since its birth, science has been grounded in observation, measurement, and replication. Something is real only if multiple observers can see it, describe it, and test it again and again. Yet consciousness, subjective experience, can never be observed from the outside. No one can see the blue you see, or the sorrow that weighs in your chest, or the silence you're hearing inside your mind right now. And no one can peer into your skull and witness your experience. They can see neurons firing, electrical oscillations, biochemical signals, nothing more. Between the map of neural activity and the felt essence of experience, there remains a gap that no bridge can span. Thomas Nagel called this the subjective character of experience and wrote, "Subjective experience cannot be captured by any objective description. Science can explain how a bat uses echolocation, but it cannot explain what it is like to be a bat. It can record your brain waves when you feel sad, but it cannot know the shade of sadness blooming inside you." Something astonishing begins to emerge here. Scientific progress depends on removing subjectivity, yet consciousness only exists as subjectivity. If you turn an experience into data, it stops being experience, and if you reduce a feeling to numbers, you kill the living part of the feeling itself. This makes consciousness what Colin McGinn calls cognitive closure, a mystery the human mind is structurally incapable of fully understanding, just as the human eye cannot see gamma rays or the human ear cannot hear infrasound. Remember Part 20, Physical processes cannot explain the spark of experience. Part 21, Perhaps consciousness is a fundamental property of the cosmos. Part 22, or perhaps it is only an illusion. And now Part 23 tells you something humbling. Both may be true, or both may be wrong, because science, as we know it, cannot grasp consciousness the way it grasps matter. Consciousness is not matter, and it cannot be placed on a table, dissected with a scalpel, or magnified under a microscope. The only thing science ever sees in the brain is electrical and chemical motion. Never you. Let your mind soften into this insight. When scientists say, "We have found the region of the brain responsible for sadness," they have only found the region that lights up when you are sad. They have not found sadness. They have found a shadow of its presence, not the experience itself. Like mistaking the flicker of firelight on a wall for the fire you can actually hold in your hands. Because of this, many scientists now admit an uncomfortable truth. There may always remain a dark region science cannot enter, the realm of subjective experience. Erwin Schrödinger once wrote, "The scientific picture of the world is a highly deficient one. It knows nothing of beauty or ugliness, good or bad, pain or delight." Science maps the world with astonishing precision, yet it cannot hold beauty, or longing, or grief, or meaning, or love. All the things that make life real. And perhaps that is why consciousness remains the one question the most serious thinkers must bow to. We do not know, and we may never know. But not knowing is not failure. It is a reminder of what it means to be human. Even now, as artificial intelligence learns faster, models better, and surpasses humans in complex tasks, still no one knows whether AI feels anything, and no one knows whether any artificial neural network can host a subjective inner world like yours. Science can simulate a sky, but it can never place you beneath that sky. Science can simulate a mind, but it cannot tell whether the simulation knows its own existence. Let this truth cradle you. Some things cannot be weighed or measured or converted into data, and those things, longing, heartbreak, memory, tenderness, the ache of missing someone, are the things that touch you the deepest. And from this awareness, you may begin to sense something profoundly human. No matter how powerful science becomes, you remain a being who lives inside a private universe of experience where what matters is not what can be explained, but what can be felt. And science, for all its beauty, cannot enter that inner world because only you can enter it. And as this thought spreads through you like a warm glow in the chest, we drift into part 24, the problem of other minds, where you will see that if your own consciousness cannot be scientifically verified, then the consciousness of others is even more uncertain, that everything you believe about other minds is, in truth, only an assumption. But we will walk there slowly, softly, like a breath descending into the next layer of the night. As the gentle reflections of part 23 still linger within you like the faint breath touching the surface of a quiet midnight lake, as you sit with the realization that science, no matter how powerful, cannot reach the inner world of experience, cannot cross the unbridgeable distance between the objective and the subjective, you may begin to feel another subtle vibration opening inside you, like a deep sound rising from somewhere far beneath the layers of awareness. If science cannot touch the inner world of your own mind, then how do you know that other people have an inner world like yours? What proves that they too are conscious, that they feel, hurt, love, grieve, tremble, hope, or break? And in that soft yet staggering moment, we step into one of the most fundamental questions in the philosophy of mind, the problem of other minds, where a truth that is both humbling and profoundly human reveals itself. You cannot be certain that anyone but you has consciousness. You only assume it. You have no proof, no measurement, no verification, only belief. And your entire life rests quietly on that belief. Let your breath slow down like the heartbeat of a windless night as you take in this truth with gentleness. Everything you know about the world comes through your own consciousness. You cannot enter someone else's mind, cannot feel with their nerves, cannot see the colors through their eyes, cannot hear their sorrow through their system of perception. You can only observe their actions, their words, their faces, their tone, and from that, you infer that they have an inner life like yours, but nothing guarantees it. Bertrand Russell once wrote in The Problems of Philosophy, "We can never directly know the experience of another, meaning that all you ever truly know is the content of your own experience, and everything beyond that is conjecture." Pause for a moment and feel the stillness of this. You spend your entire life among billions of human beings, yet you have never known with certainty that any of them are conscious. They smile, you assume they are happy. They cry, you assume they are hurting. But this is only inference. A wax figure can smile. A robot can say, "I feel sad," and yet you know it does not feel anything at all, which means what you call another mind is not something you observe, but something you project. In Meditations on First Philosophy, Descartes doubted everything except the fact that he himself was thinking, leading him to conclude cogito ergo sum, and yet he could not conclude "you think, therefore you are," because he could never be certain of another's consciousness. He could only be certain of his own. And in the same way, you can be absolutely sure that you are hearing these words inside your awareness, but you cannot be absolutely sure that the people walking beside you in the world are awake in the way you are awake. Think back through your life. How many times have you said, "I understand you," when in truth you were merely projecting your own experience? How many times have you thought someone was hurting you intentionally when they were not conscious of it at all? How many times have you felt misunderstood because no one else could step into the inner landscape of your mind? The soft truth is that each person lives within a private interior world known only to themselves, and though you may walk beside them, you always walk outside their door. This is not meant to make you feel alone, but to remind you how precious human connection truly is, because it is never guaranteed, never automatic, always a delicate meeting of two subjective worlds at the narrow threshold of behavior. Let your awareness open like a wooden door easing inward. Because you cannot be certain others have consciousness, you must live by trust. You must assume that other people feel hurt, fear, ache, hope, even though you cannot see it. And this assumption is what makes you humane. This faith is what allows you to love. This belief is what stops you from treating others as lifeless things. John Stuart Mill wrote on liberty, "It is impossible to see into the mind of another. All we have is empathy and imagination, meaning that the bridge between inner worlds is not built from science or measurement or logic, but from compassion and imagination, and that makes humanity a rare kind of species. We connect through what can never be verified." Remember the gap from part 23, the place where science cannot reach consciousness. Now, in part 24, you realize that the mystery applies not only to the consciousness within you, but even more to the consciousness of others. And if you let this truth settle into you like moonlight sinking into still water, you may feel something profoundly human awakening. Humility. You do not know everything. You cannot know everything, and so you must walk more gently through the lives of others. You must understand that there are wounds inside them you will never feel, battles within them you will never see, dreams they will never speak. And therefore, every kindness matters. Every embrace carries weight. Every apology holds healing. And as this awareness drifts through you like warm water flowing softly through the chest, you may sense a quiet peace. You are not alone in this uncertainty, for every human being on earth carries the same question. None of us can ever be sure, and yet all of us choose to believe. And it is this shared choice that makes community possible, makes tenderness meaningful, makes humanity human. And from this stillness, we move gently into part 25, the present moment trap, where a deeper question waits for you. If you cannot know the consciousness of others, how do you know the consciousness of your past selves? How do you know your memories are more than stories the brain is narrating right now? But we will drift there softly, easily, like the night opening its next chapter with a single quiet breath. As the quiet resonance of part 24 continues drifting through you like a thin veil of smoke still lingering in the midnight air, as you move through the realization that you can never be certain anyone besides you truly possesses consciousness, that the entire inner world of others is merely an assumption, a projection your mind builds to make sense of the beings around you. You may begin to feel an even subtler movement rising from the floor of awareness. If you cannot know the consciousness of others, then how do you know that your own consciousness in the past truly existed? What proves that the you of yesterday, or the you at age 10, experienced the world through the same subject who is experiencing this moment now? And if memory, your seemingly strongest evidence of having lived, felt, and existed, is itself unreliable, then is it truly evidence at all, or merely the story your brain is telling right now? And from that question, soft as breath, we step into part 25. The present moment trap, where one of the strangest truths of consciousness quietly emerges. No one can prove that they were conscious in the past. Memory is not proof. Let your breath flow slowly like moonlight sinking over a still, deep lake. For to understand the trap of the present moment, you do not need logic. You need the softening of the mind, as though you are gazing at yourself through shimmering water. Begin with what feels most familiar. You believe you have a past, that you were once a barefoot child running across a village road, that you once laughed at something silly, once had your heart broken, once gazed out a classroom window. You believe all of these happened and were experienced by you. But pause. What proves that? Memories. Yet from part 8 and part 9, you already know memory is never faithful. Each recollection rewrites the past. What you call your past is only the version recreated in this moment. You have no access to an original file, only to the reconstruction, which may be distorted, incomplete, or entirely imagined. The philosopher Daniel Dennett once said, "Memory is fiction, but fiction with a purpose." Memory is not a camera, but a storyteller, and storytellers do not merely record, they invent. Imagine this. You recall a childhood trip to the sea. You see yourself running on the sand, you hear the waves, you smell the sunlit salt, yet you have no evidence that the event unfolded as you remember it. You only have evidence that your current brain is generating that sensory echo. And if the memory is produced in the present, how can you be certain you had consciousness at the time the event supposedly happened? Consider it as a spiral. You only have consciousness of the past from the present, never from the past itself. You cannot access your past subjectivity, only the narrative about it. In a treatise of human nature, David Hume wrote, "I never can catch myself at any time without a perception, and never can observe anything but the perception." He found no continuous self, only flickering moments of awareness appearing and vanishing. If all you ever find are present moments, then the past you carry, does it truly exist? Or is it an illusion created by the chain of present moments? Modern neuroscience echoes this. Long-term memory is not a recording but a reactivation of neural patterns, and each reactivation creates distortion. Even more unsettling, patients who lose their memory entirely continue to live, act, and speak as conscious beings, as if the past has no bearing on whether consciousness exists in the present. If memory can disappear and consciousness still remains, then memory cannot be proof of past consciousness. Let this question drift deeper into you, not asking for an answer, but for awareness. Can you be certain the you of 5 years ago shared the same subject who is hearing these words now? Or is the subject something that exists only moment to moment, with the past held together by stories rather than by continuity? This leads to a strange but beautiful truth. Consciousness may exist only instant by instant, like flashes of lightning appearing and dissolving, and what convinces you of continuity is not reality, but memory stitching moments together. Jorge Luis Borges once wrote, "Time is a river which sweeps me along, but I am the river." If you look at this through the lens of the present moment, you see the softness in it. You are not carried by time. Rather, you create time, one moment at a time, and each moment is a new you. Feel this truth as if it were your own breath. Every inhale births a new self. Every exhale lets the old self slip away. Memory keeps you from feeling as though you are dying and being reborn constantly. Memory is the glue, the bridge, but bridges do not prove that the two shores are one. They only allow moving between them. So, did past consciousness truly exist? You have no way to know. You only have the story being narrated in this moment. And while this may unsettle you at first, let it settle deeper and it becomes soothing. Your consciousness has never been imprisoned by the past. You are not the accumulation of what happened. You are not bound by memory. You are not defined by who you once were. Because the one who lived those moments exists only as a narrative being reassembled now. While you, the subject hearing these words, are always new, always beginning again, always reborn in every breath. And this opens a profound healing. You do not need to carry the weight of your past, because the past cannot prove itself. You do not need to be limited by the person you used to be, because that person only exists as a reconstruction. You are the subject of this moment, and this moment alone is real. Let this truth fall into you gently like a leaf settling onto soft ground. The present is not only all you have, it is all you are. And from this gentle realization, we drift into part 26, Emotional Contagion, where you will discover that even the emotions you hold in the present may not be entirely your own, for they can pass between minds unconsciously, like quiet currents flowing from one inner world into another. Let us move there slowly and quietly, as though the night is opening its next layer of truth with a single silent breath. As the gentle resonance of part 25 continues drifting through you like a thin ribbon of smoke gliding across the deepest layer of awareness, as you realize that your own past cannot be proven by anything other than the memory stories your brain is retelling in this present moment, that the you of yesterday may simply be an illusion being recreated right now. You may begin to feel another door opening slowly and quietly, as though a small stream of water were seeking its way between the cracks of your thoughts. If memory cannot be trusted, if the self is not continuous, if the past has no true evidence, then how much of the emotion you carry in this moment actually belongs to you? And how much of it is shaped by the moods, the glances, the voices, the hidden emotional rhythms of the people around you? And in that tender intersection, we step into part 26, Emotional Contagion, where one of the most mysterious yet beautiful mechanisms of being human is revealed. The emotions of others flow into you automatically through the mirror neuron system. Those astonishing cells that allow you to feel the sadness, joy, fear, or hope of another person, as though you were the one living it. Let your breath slow, soft and steady, as if you were sitting beside a warm golden lamp glowing quietly in the night. So we can enter this mechanism gently, as though walking into a room scented with wood and mist. Emotional contagion is not peripheral and not occasional. It is a foundational layer of how your brain operates, how you connect, how you understand others without words. When someone laughs, you feel pulled into a smile. When someone panics, your body tenses before your mind knows why. When someone sinks into sadness, your chest feels heavier and you cannot explain the source. You think you're being empathetic, but in truth your brain is mirroring their state. Researchers first discovered mirror neurons in monkeys. When one monkey watched another pick up a banana, its own motor neurons fired as though it were performing the action itself. The brain reenacted what the eyes observed. But in humans, the system evolved further. It mirrors not only action, but emotion. When you see someone in pain, the regions of your own brain associated with pain activate. When you see someone trembling in fear, your body releases adrenaline. When you see someone cry, your eyes burn with tears. David Hume wrote in a treatise of human nature, "Human nature is the greatest source of sympathy. We catch the passions of others just like we catch their diseases. We catch emotions the way we catch the wind, effortlessly, involuntarily, unknowingly." Mirror neurons blur the boundary between your feeling and their feeling. This means that when you walk into a tense room, your body becomes tense. When you meet a peaceful person, your breath deepens. When you speak to someone full of vitality, your energy rises. Emotion is not an object, yet it spreads like light over water. Feel this for a moment. You are not an isolated individual. Your brain is not a sealed instrument. You are a living instrument woven into the emotional orchestra of the world. Every person you meet is a melody, and each melody leaves a small vibration in you, whether you notice it or not. Sometimes you feel sad for no reason. Perhaps the sadness was never yours. Sometimes you feel anxious in a crowd. Perhaps it is the pulse of 100 racing hearts. Sometimes you feel peaceful beside someone who barely speaks. Perhaps their stillness is flowing into you like a quiet river. Elliot Aronson writes in The Social Animal, "We are not isolated minds. We are permeable. We absorb each other. Humans are not closed containers. We are watercolor bleeding into watercolor, and this permeability is both a gift and a burden. You feel the pain of others, and this makes you loving. But you also absorb storms that do not belong to you, and this leaves you weary without knowing why. You can hold someone crying and find your heart breaking with them, because mirror neurons do not draw boundaries, and when you laugh from a place of genuine joy, you do not brighten only yourself. You spill some of that brightness into the world. Think of this in the quiet of night. Your emotions are not solely your own. You are a crossroads for thousands of invisible emotional currents flowing from the people you've met, the people you've loved, the strangers you've passed by, even from faces you glimpsed only for a moment. If you've ever felt yourself change simply by sitting beside someone, it is not a fantasy. It is the neuroscience of connection. And here is the most beautiful part. If emotions can spread, then so can calm. A single, peaceful person can soften an entire room. One slow breath can make another person release their shoulders. A gentle gaze can loosen the tightness in someone else's heart. Sometimes, by keeping a small, quiet space within yourself, you become the sense of safety someone else has been searching for. Nietzsche wrote in Human, All Too Human. Invisible threads are the strongest ties. These invisible threads are the emotional currents passing between minds. You cannot see mirror neurons work. You cannot see emotion spread, but you feel it. And because you feel it, you live inside a vast unseen network where your consciousness and the consciousness of others are constantly echoing into one another. Let this truth settle into you like a soft wind brushing the roof of a quiet home. You are not alone in the emotions you carry. You are not only the creator of your feelings, you are also the receiver of countless unseen signals. And that makes you more deeply human, because humans are not sealed machines. Humans are rivers, frequencies, resonances. Knowing this, you begin to live more gently. You begin to understand that when someone snaps at you, perhaps you are hearing the echo of a pain that never belonged to you. When someone exhausts you, perhaps you are simply reflecting their chaos. When you feel uneasy for no clear reason, perhaps it is the heartbeat of those around you. And from this delicate recognition, you discover something tender. You can choose not to react to emotions that are not yours. You can let them pass through you like wind. You can hold a still point within, a point others can look toward and soften. And as this wave of understanding spreads through your whole being, we drift softly into part 27, Embodied Cognition, where you will discover that emotions do not only flow from others into you, but that your very body, your posture, your breath, your movement, shapes your thoughts and feelings far more than you ever realized. But let us move there slowly and quietly, as though the night were leading you into its next deep chamber with a single, long breath. As the quiet residue of part 26 continues to settle in you like a soft current slipping through the stillness of the night, as you begin to understand that many of the emotions you carry do not originate within you. that they may be echoes from other hearts, flowing into you through mirror neurons like invisible waves. You may feel another subtle movement stirring gently inside. If the emotions of others can seep into you, then what is happening to the emotions born from your own body? What happens when you shift your posture, alter your breathing, or change the way your footsteps meet the ground? And is it possible that the smallest motions of your body shape your mind far more deeply than you ever imagined? From this question, soft as mist, we drift into part 27, Embodied Cognition, where you discover that your thoughts and emotions do not arise from the brain alone, but from your entire body. Posture, breath, heart rhythm, movement, each slight contraction of a muscle, each position of your feet, all of it participates in creating your inner world. Let your breath slow, soft as waves brushing nighttime sand, to enter this truth gently, as though opening a door into a garden you have walked through many times, but never truly seen. You do not have a body. You are a body. And the body is not a vessel that carries thought. It is part of thought itself. In Phenomenology of Perception, Merleau-Ponty wrote, "The body is our general medium for having a world. The body is not merely where you live, it is how you live. It is your instrument of contact with the world, and the world's instrument of contact with you. Every emotion and every thought travels through the body before reaching awareness. When you are sad, your shoulders sink before you register the sadness. When you are anxious, your chest tightens before you name the fear. When you feel confident, your stride widens before the thought of confidence even appears. And when you are afraid, your heart pounds like a drum long before the conscious mind forms a sentence about danger. Yet the wonder lies in this. The connection is not one-directional. It is not only emotion shapes posture, posture shapes emotion. Change your body, and you change your brain. Change your breath, and you change your thoughts. Change the way you move, and you change the way you feel. This leads to a gentle truth. You are not as trapped in your emotions as you think. You can liberate yourself through the body long before you understand what is happening in the mind. Imagine standing with your spine tall, your shoulders open, your chest gently lifted. Brain scans show that within minutes, regions associated with anxiety reduce their activity, while regions connected to emotional regulation increase. A small shift in posture, and the internal tide shifts with it. Amy Cuddy's influential research revealed that holding a power pose for just 2 minutes can lower the stress hormone cortisol and increase testosterone, creating a sense of strength and confidence, even if you don't believe in it yet. She said a line that stirred the world. Fake it till you become it. Not faking to hide, but faking to guide the mind through the wisdom of the body. Feel this slowly. Your breath is the switchboard of your emotional life. Quick, shallow breaths tell your body you are in danger. Long, slow breaths shift your nervous system into safety. You think anxiety starts in your thoughts, but often it starts in your breath. If you place your hand on your chest right now and inhale gently, then exhale longer than you inhale, you will feel something astonishing. The mind softens before thought even begins. In the body keeps the score, Bessel van der Kolk writes. The mind may forget, but the body never does. The body holds memories you believe you've buried. It stores old fears, old habits, old wounds. And because of that, the body is also where healing begins. A deep breath can melt an old sorrow. A small stretch can loosen a frozen memory. An open posture can undo years of subtle self-protection. Notice, when you curl inward, shoulders hunched, head lowered, arms drawn close, your body sends a signal of danger, and the mind searches for a reason to justify it. But when you open your shoulders, lift your chest, release your neck, the body sends safety, and the mind begins to find reasons to feel calm. You are not the victim of your emotions. You are the one who can alter the signals that create them. Think of your body like water. Stir it constantly and it becomes cloudy. Allow it to rest and it becomes clear. If you repeatedly align your posture, breath, and movement towards safety, the mind settles. From that settling, inner clarity rises. And here lies something beautiful. Your body is always here with you. It does not need language. It does not need theory. It only needs your attention. A slow breath whispers, "I am safe." An open posture whispers, "I can trust." A calm step whispers, "There is no need to rush." In the long quiet of night, as you loosen the body, you may feel something profoundly simple. Sometimes the mind is too loud to speak to, but the body never refuses you. It is always the first doorway to peace. Nietzsche once wrote in "Thus Spoke Zarathustra," "There is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy." Your body holds its own kind of wisdom, the wisdom of breath, of rhythm, of movement, and that wisdom can guide the mind when the mind becomes lost. Let this truth soothe you like rainfall on a quiet roof. You are not merely someone who has a body. You are someone guided by the body. The body is the map of the mind. The body is the gateway of healing. The body is the beginning of peace. And from this tenderness of understanding, we drift into Part 28, Predictive Brain Model, where you will see that not only does the body shape the mind, but the mind itself is constantly shaping the world before you even perceive it. That your brain does not record reality, but predicts it. But let us enter that slowly, softly, like a long breath guiding you deeper into the gentle darkness of the night. As the lingering resonance of Part 27 continues to drift through you like gentle waves brushing the shoreline of the mind, as you begin to understand that emotions do not arise from thoughts alone, but from the body itself, from breath, posture, heart rhythm, movement, you may feel another door opening, a door leading toward a truth even more delicate. If the body shapes emotion, then what shapes perception? Do you truly see the world as it is, or does the brain construct a model before you ever look, listen, touch, or feel? And from this subtle stirring, soft as a breeze, we move into Part 28, Predictive Brain Model, where one of the most significant discoveries of modern neuroscience is revealed. Your brain does not record the world first. It predicts the world first, and you do not live in the real world, but in the world your brain believes is real. Let your breath slow, flowing like nighttime water, so that you may enter this truth not through analysis, but through the softness of awareness. Your brain is a prediction machine. It does not wait for information before responding. It anticipates what is coming before you perceive it. When your eyes open, the brain has already predicted the image. When sound reaches your ears, the brain has already predicted the tone. When you touch something, the brain has already predicted the sensation. And what you experience is not raw data from the outside world, but a blending of prediction and reality, in which prediction occupies far more space than you imagine. Neuroscientist Carl Friston, who developed the free energy principle, explains that the brain is constantly trying to reduce prediction error. It predicts, then adjusts, then predicts again like an artist painting in the dark, seeing only brief flashes of the canvas, and you live inside that painting, believing it is the world. Feel this for a moment. When you walk into a familiar room, you do not observe each object. The brain simply activates an internal map. When you hear a familiar phrase, you do not process each word. The brain fills in the gaps. When you look at a face, you do not examine each detail. The brain predicts the expression, the emotion, the intention. These predictions are so strong that you often see what you expect to see. In The Doors of Perception, Aldous Huxley wrote, "We are seeing the world through the reducing valve of the mind. The mind does not reveal the whole world to you. It narrows and reconstructs it so you are not overwhelmed by infinite data. This leads to a truth both startling and beautiful. You do not live in reality. You live in a model of reality that the brain is constantly building, revising, and updating. Your world is a construction, an extraordinarily accurate construction, so accurate that you forget it is not the world itself. Notice this slowly. When you look at someone you love, you do not see them as an object. You see them through predictions of feeling, memory, expectation. When you recall a conversation, you do not hear the true sound. You hear the version the brain recreates. When you feel afraid, the body reacts before you recognize danger. Perception follows prediction. This means you do not react to the world. You react to your model of the world. Imagine the brain as a storyteller writing the next sentence before the present one is finished, and what you call reality is simply the story it tells. When the prediction is wrong, you feel surprised, shocked, unable to believe your eyes. When the prediction is right, you call it normal. Yet nothing in the world is normal or abnormal. Only predictions are accurate or inaccurate. Immanuel Kant once wrote in Critique of Pure Reason, "We do not see things as they are, but as we are." What once sounded metaphorical becomes biological when we understand the predictive brain model. You do not see the world as it is. You see the world as your brain predicts it will be. Let this truth settle into you like a soft beam of light. Perhaps the world is not as rigid as you imagine. Perhaps many of the sorrows you carry do not arise from reality, but from pessimistic predictions. Perhaps many fears are not born from danger, but from a model of threat. Perhaps many moments when you felt unseen or unloved did not come from the intentions of others, but from a prediction your mind made before you looked closely. Allow your mind to soften. If the world you see is a model, then the model can change. If you are used to predicting the worst, you can learn to predict better. If you are used to focusing on fear, you can learn to notice gentleness. If you are used to bracing for harm, you can open without needing certainty. You are not trapped by the world. You are trapped by the predictions of your mind. And when the predictions change, the world changes. In The Inner Game of Tennis, Timothy Galway wrote, "The world is not the problem. Your mind's model of the world is. The world does not wound you. The model does." And that is good news, because the model can be rewritten. Notice your breath right now. If you believe the night is frightening, darkness feels heavy. If you believe the night is peaceful, darkness becomes warm. The night has not changed, only your model has. So it is with your life. And as this understanding moves through you like a cool evening breeze, you may begin to sense something profound. You are not confined by reality. You are confined by prediction. And recognizing this is the first doorway to freedom. From this still and gentle place, we drift into Part 29, the Cosmic Era Hypothesis, where you will see that not only the inner world, but the outer universe itself may be a model, or perhaps a mistake, a quantum accident, a cosmic flaw from which everything you know has emerged. But we will step into that slowly, softly, like the final breath before the night deepens into its quietest hour. As the lingering echo of Part 28 continues to drift within you like the final shimmer of moonlight resting on the surface of a still lake, as you begin to realize that you do not truly live in an objective world, but in the model your brain predicts, that what you call reality is merely a story. Your nervous system constructs so you can survive. You may start to feel another mist spreading softly and deeply inside you, as if your mind were quietly asking an even larger question. If the world within you is only a model, then what about the world outside? The vast universe in which you are only a small flicker. If the brain constructs reality inside your mind, is it possible that the grand reality beyond you is also not a stable, intentional structure? Could the universe itself be something that never followed a plan at all? Something that was never meant, never designed, never intended, but simply the result of an error, a quantum misfire, an accidental anomaly in the machinery of existence? And from this question, soft as fog, we step into part 29, the cosmic error hypothesis, where you encounter a thought both bold and humble, one that opens some of the deepest chambers of the human mind, that the universe itself may be nothing more than a random quantum slip, an unintentional mistake from which everything, including you, has emerged. Slow your breath. Let it deepen as though the night sky were rising and falling inside your chest, because we will enter this idea not with fear, but with the tenderness of someone touching mystery with trembling, reverent hands. In quantum physics, error is not an anomaly. It is the rule. Random fluctuations in the quantum vacuum can create particles and then erase them, can form brief bursts of energy and dissolve them again. These microscopic tremors, smaller than imagination can grasp, may, according to some theories, be the spark from which the entire universe popped into being. A tiny imbalance, a brief misalignment, a fleeting deviation in the symmetry of nothingness, and instead of returning to the void, the universe inflated, expanded, ignited with billions of stars. The universe you inhabit, the Milky Way, the Sun, the Earth, your own breath, may not have been designed at all, but could be the outcome of a strange, beautiful accident. Like a misplaced brushstroke that becomes a masterpiece. Like a raindrop falling in the wrong place and becoming a river. Like a wrong note in a melody that suddenly makes the music better than the composer intended. Physicist John Wheeler once said, "We are no more than a bit of organized energy in a swirling cosmic accident." A cosmic accident, but one so beautiful that the word accident becomes too small. A misalignment so immense that it became home. A mistake so deep that it became meaning. Let yourself feel this slowly. If the universe is a mistake, then you, breathing, thinking, feeling, are also the result of that mistake. And that does not make you small, it makes you miraculous. Because from an error, consciousness sprouted. From a slip in physics, the heart learned to love. From a meaningless fluctuation came the question, who am I? There was no blueprint, no architect, no predetermined purpose. Only a moment of chance, and from it grew everything you see. Walt Whitman once wrote, "I am large, I contain multitudes." But you are more than that. You contain the entire history of a cosmic era, crystallized into a living being capable of looking up at the sky and asking why. Imagine gazing at the night sky, even if only in your mind, and asking yourself, is there anything more astonishing than the possibility that a random quantum irregularity created the ability to behold the universe itself? Stephen Hawking once asked, "Why does the universe go to all the bother of existing?" A question that seems philosophical but is, in truth, the astonishment of a scientist confronted with the possibility that nothingness should have remained nothing, and yet instead it became everything. If the universe is an error, a cosmic mistake, then existence is freed from purpose or obligation. It is no longer bound to the demand for meaning, intention, or direction. You're not the product of a plan. You are the outcome of a miracle with no script. And that releases you from the pressure to be enough, to be right, to fit some perfect shape. You are not made to conform. You were born from the absolute freedom of randomness. Let this fall into you like a cold but gentle drop of dew. If life is the result of a mistake, then life is even more precious. You are more precious. There is no reason for your existence, and that is what makes your existence astonishing. You are not the copy of an idea. You are the consequence of a single, unrepeatable moment. Philosopher Alan Watts said, "You are a function of what the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is a function of what the whole ocean is doing." If the universe is a strange interaction so improbable that chance became creation, then you are the form the universe has taken at this moment, in this breath. You are not separate. You are not alone. You are the wave of an ocean. You are the vibration of everything that exists. And if the universe itself is a mistake, then you no longer have to fear being wrong, because wrongness is what gave birth to everything you treasure. Every star, every poem, every embrace, every dream. Wrongness gave birth to you. Let your mind drift with this truth, light as night wind through a forest. You are not the result of perfection. You are the evidence that imperfection can create the most beautiful things. And as this thought spreads through your chest like a dim glow, we gently move into part 30, the fine-tuning problem, where you will see that even if the universe began as an accident, the physical constants that shape it are so precise it is almost impossible to believe, raising the question of whether randomness could ever be that delicate. But we will reach that slowly, softly, like the final steps on a long night road before the first pale light of dawn touches the horizon. As the gentle, resonant afterglow of part 29 continues to rest within you like the final layer of mist that has yet to lift from the ground of consciousness, as you move through the realization that the universe may be nothing more than a random quantum error, a slight deviation in the symphony of existence that unintentionally gave rise to light, to matter, to life, and to you. You may begin to feel another question slowly unfolding, as if the universe were tilting its head to whisper, if everything is only a mistake, then why is this mistake so impossibly precise? If existence is truly random, then why are the physical constants tuned with such flawless perfection that even the slightest deviation would make the universe collapse? And from that delicate question, we step into part 30. The fine-tuning problem, where one of the deepest mysteries of the cosmos reveals itself in the soft darkness of the night. The physical constants are so precise, so exquisitely balanced, that it feels as though something or some principle fine-tuned them with infinite care so that life could appear. Let your breath soften, drifting like a thin breeze across a quiet space. If gravity were only slightly weaker, galaxies would never form. Slightly stronger, everything would collapse into black holes. If the electromagnetic force varied by a fraction of a fraction, atoms would fail to bind. If the rate of cosmic expansion were faster or slower by 1/1,000,000th in the first second after the Big Bang, the universe would either implode or tear apart. The ratio between proton and neutron masses, the Planck constant, the fine structure constant, all of them sit within impossibly narrow ranges. Ranges so precise that chance begins to feel like an insufficient explanation. Stephen Hawking once wrote in A Brief History of Time, "The laws of science, as we know them, contain many fundamental physical constants that seem to have been very finely adjusted to allow the development of life. fine-tuned, as though someone had turned each dial with exquisite precision until life could blossom like a flower. And from here, 3 grand possibilities rise, each opening its own universe of contemplation within your mind. The first, design, not in the traditional religious sense, but as a suggestion that perhaps some underlying intelligence or principle shaped the constants so that consciousness could one day observe itself. Thomas Aquinas once said, "The order of the world implies an orderer." Not a conclusion, only a possibility, a soft whisper of order hiding inside chaos. The second possibility, the multiverse, an endless landscape of parallel universes, each with its own set of constants. We live in the universe where the constants happen to be just right, like the sole survivor telling a story of a war billions never saw. Max Tegmark calls this the level 4 multiverse, where every mathematical structure becomes a universe. Ours is only one configuration among countless possibilities. The third, something deeper, a principle not yet discovered, a foundational rule that forces the constants to be what they are, just as the shape of a petal seems intentional, but is actually the result of natural laws we merely have not understood. Perhaps the constants are not fine-tuned at all. Perhaps they are inevitable. Einstein once remarked, "The most incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it is comprehensible." Maybe what we call fine-tuning is simply the echo of an order not yet revealed. Let your mind settle before these 3 possibilities without choosing any of them. The fine-tuning problem does not require your belief. It invites your wonder. It invites you to recognize that you are living inside something far stranger than anything the human imagination has ever dared to propose. Imagine yourself lying on the earth, a speck of dust in the Milky Way, a flicker of light in a cosmic ocean, and every physical constant is tuned with exact precision so that you can breathe, love, hurt, wonder, and ask why. Every breath you take is the result of billions of simultaneous conditions. Every heartbeat is proof that the universe chose this exact arrangement of values, and even if the universe began as an error, as we explored in part 29, it remains an error so perfect that it created consciousness capable of marveling at its own accident. An error so beautiful, it became a miracle. And now, as the night approaches its final depth, as this long journey reaches its final movement, you may begin to feel something profoundly quiet and deeply human. You're shaped by these constants. You do not stand outside the universe. You are the universe becoming aware of itself. Carl Sagan once wrote, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." And as you lie here, listening to each idea fall into your mind like tiny star particles drifting through an open sky, you're doing exactly that. You are helping the universe witness its own existence. Fine-tuning is not a promise. It is not a solution. It is not proof that someone holds your hand. It is simply a reminder that existence is fragile, impossible, and far more beautiful than you realize. You are the universe's improbable glow. You are the silent proof of the impossible. And in this moment, as the night grows still, as your mind floats like a small boat on quiet water, you may sense the softest, deepest truth of all. No matter which theory is right, whether the universe was born of randomness, design, or a principle yet unknown, your existence remains a gift that needs no explanation, only your living presence within each moment. And now, as the 30-part journey comes to its natural close, you may let all questions fade into the darkness. Let your breath fall into its slow rhythm. Let your mind loosen its grip and allow sleep to arrive like a thin veil of light softly settling over your soul. warm, gentle, and deeply at peace.